Welcome, 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 fam. To God be the glory. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you. Thank you guys for joining. Gonna wait a little while to get some more people in here. Go put it down. Put it down. Why you keep messing with my slippers? Man, I have a dog here. He constantly picks up my slippers and it's crazy. If you're gonna get a Belgian Malinois, man, listen, you're a handful. Better, right? I don't know where you got the socks from. On my shoe. Oops. Welcome everyone. Welcome, welcome. How's everyone doing? Oh, takes yes, chewing up my socks the whole time. Hey YouTube family, welcome, 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 welcome. You guys know this is the time I do this. How's everyone doing? Welcome to the live, welcome to the live. Just gonna give a couple more minutes. So everyone in the live, thank you guys for joining. As you guys can tell, President Trump has been super busy. Welcome, 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 welcome. How's everyone doing? Welcome back to the live. Welcome to the live. Thank you guys for joining me. I appreciate you for your first time. I do this quite a few times per week, maybe 2 or 3 times a week. While I'm studying, I like to watch what's going on. Obviously, guys, the European Union has been put to keel. President Trump comes in. This man is like the Godfather, man. And whether you like this man or not, you have to recognize the skills that this man has. Like the last presidency, we don't see that. We never saw Joe Biden anywhere. He never had any meetings with any foreign officials. He never invited anybody here. And we all know that, I don't want to use the word competent because, the country appointed him, and or should I say, they stole the election. But this is what you want to see from your president. You want to see your president out and about. You want to see your president rubbing shoulders with all the leaders of the rest of the world, and not in a negative way. You want him to be sitting down and making the deals that the country is going to be proud of. And one thing you have to say about Donald Trump, man, he kept his word about everything. And there's something to be admired about someone who keeps their word about the things that they're going to do. Now, first of all, the big beautiful bill. That's one way of just getting a lot of stuff done without doing a lot of stuff. If that, don't let that one run past your go over your head. The big beautiful bill is one way of getting a lot of stuff done without doing a lot of stuff. That means you don't have to go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth with everybody every couple of months to get one bill passed. What was done is we put a bunch of bills in one. Let's present it in front of everyone, vote on it. Some of them, they might not like it. Some of them, they might not like some of the bills in there, but they might love some. But because they want some to pass, they'll just pass everyone. So the strategy of putting one big, beautiful bill is a very great idea. This man's a smart man. This man, honestly, I say it before in some of my previous lives, you can't treat the country like a country. You do have to treat it like a business, because that's what it is. It's a business with people who you should, how should I put this? It's not like a regular business, but it's treated like a business with the people that you should be taking care of. Typically a business is just there for profits. And that's the difference between the presidency and how Donald Trump is approaching it. He's treating it like a business, but the consumer is the people who voted for him, and they should be winning most of the time. We know it's not going to happen all the time, how it should be. The people should come first because we voted these officials in. But as the years go by and politicians get comfortable, and the checks and balances that are supposed to put them in check and keep them honest in their jobs have slowly been deteriorated and gone. Like, you don't hear people really, you don't see people really protesting and burning down stuff because the government's not doing their job. You don't see that anymore. What you see people is burning down buildings, getting to riots for some reason other than what they should be burning down place and rioting for. Back in the days, you could have some unrest because the government raised taxes 1%. And people start burning down everything and put them back in check, and they're like, you know what, we can't do that. Nowadays, the government has so much leeway to do so many negative things to the people and with no consequences. It's like they know they're going to get away with anything. They can steal billions of dollars. They can send money out of the country. They can not give back to the people who voted them in. They can raise taxes. They can create laws that go against the people that vote for them, and there's no consequences. So it's just free reign. They don't care. And that's why we see where a lot of politicians go into politics and come out wealthier. I don't know who's that congresswoman, that Democratic congresswoman, that she's pretty young in the party, and she's not really she's not really making any good leeway. She's kind of, every time you see her in the news, negative. She just went into politics not even a year and a half ago, and her portfolio went from maybe $150,000 to already $6 million. How is that so? And you're a government official on a government salary. The president of the United States, the most powerful man in the world, makes, I think, less than $250,000 per year. That's his salary. Less than $250,000 per year. That means a lot of Fortune 500 company CEOs, of CEOs of many countries make way more than the president of the United States, which is how it's supposed to be. He's a public official. He's a civil servant. He's not supposed to be making millions of dollars. Barack Obama, look at that man. Before he left office, multimillionaire. Came in, maybe $1 million between him and his wife. Now, even his kids who never written a book, probably never have a job in their life, are millionaire. How is that? We all know that they siphon money out of poor people's pocket and into their own. They live in Martha's Vineyard. They're so far away from the American people. And so when we have a president that comes in and wants to put our country first, honestly, I can't see what the problem is. And I don't understand how people can say, oh, that's a problem that this man wants to put his country first. Like, I just don't understand it. You must really hate your country to really think like, okay, someone who says, hey, I want to put a country first. I want to make deals for our country. I want our country to look better, compared to other European countries. European Union, come on, man. They've been getting fat. And these European people, man, they've been living that lavish life in Europe off the American people's pocket. We all know that. They've been saving billions of dollars over years. And this is no longer... there's no need to fact check any of this anymore. These are facts. Anyway, guys, I don't want to ramble on too long because this is my first time watching this also. So anytime you guys see me do a live, it's my first time. I haven't watched it. It's my first time watching with you. Guys, if you guys like the content, man, and you guys want to subscribe to the channel, it costs nothing, guys. And it means everything to me. I really appreciate every single one of you guys. If you guys want to like, subscribe, and share, I really appreciate it. Thank you, guys, and let's watch.
Talking to see if we can do something. We've had a very good relationship over the years, but it's been a very one-sided transaction, very unfair to the United States.
Absolutely.
And I think both sides want to see fairness, but it's been a very one-sided deal, and it shouldn't be. And so we're here with her very brilliant staff, and hopefully we'll resolve a few issues. But it's a great honor. We just built this ballroom, and we're building a great ballroom at the White House. The White House has wanted a ballroom for 150 years, but they never had a real estate person. No president knew how to build a ballroom. But this just opened, a relatively short time ago, and it's been quite the success. And I think, I was just saying, I could take this one, drop it right down there, it would be beautiful. This is exactly what they wanted. But it's an honor to have you at the new ballroom at Turnberry. And thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Thank you very much for inviting me here. Indeed, it is today about trade between the European Union and the United States. We're together the two largest economies worldwide.
Right.
If you look at the trade volume, it's the biggest trade volume globally with $1.7 trillion among us. And if you look at our markets, it's a huge market, 800 million people if you take the United States and the European Union. So I'm very much looking forward to the discussions we will have now. Our staff have done some of the heavy lifting, but now it's on us.
Yeah.
And you're known as a tough negotiator and deal maker.
But
What is
fair.
in front? And fair. And what is in front of
That's
us?
less important.
If we're successful, I think it would be the biggest deal each of us has ever struck. So
Sure.
I'm very much looking forward.
Ever struck by anybody, that's
Yeah.
true. That's true. Right now, we have that honor goes to Japan. We just struck a deal with Japan, as you know. And we're very close to a deal with China. We really sort of made a deal with China, see how that goes. And we have numerous other deals, and mostly I'm just gonna charge tariffs. And, you know, it's not a deal per se, but people are gonna pay tariffs, and we're doing them at the low end, not the high end, because we don't wanna hurt anybody. And pretty well, but you and I both think that this is really the biggest trading partnership in the world, so we should give it a shot, right?
Very much looking forward to that.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I do too. Any questions, please?
Regarding on Friday, you put the chances of a deal at 50%, maybe up. It seems like you're in quite a good mood. How would you rate those chances now?
I'm actually not in a good mood, but I will tell you, I think the chances are, yeah, I think Ursula would say, probably 50-50 of making a deal. I hope, you know, I'd like to make a deal. I think it's good for both, but yeah, I'd say 50-50.
And what would you say the main sticking points are?
We have 3 or 4 sticking points. I'd rather not get in. We'll be discussing them. But I think the main sticking point is fairness. Please. No, the golf was beautiful. Golf can never be bad, even if you play badly. It's still good. If you had a bad day on the golf course, it's okay. It's better than other days. But no, I think I look forward to this meeting. You know, we've had a hard time with trade with Europe, very hard time, and I'd like to see it resolved. But if it isn't, we'll, you know, have tariffs. They'll do what they have to do. But we have a good chance of getting it resolved. We'll probably know in about an hour. Shouldn't take that long. You know, it's complicated, but not really complicated when you get right down to it, right? No. The August 1st is there for everyone. The deals all start on August 1st. Most of the deals, other than steel and aluminum, which we've been getting 50% tariffs from, I guess, just about everybody, and those have come in, and we've taken in, you know, hundreds of billions of dollars just on steel and aluminum. You've seen the numbers. We had a tremendous amount of money coming over the last month, and it's coming in, you know, very rapidly, which is fair. We have a lot of steel mills and plants, aluminum mills and plants being built. We have a lot of AI being built, and we have a lot of oil plants being built or going to be built because they don't want to pay tariffs. So, you know, if they don't want to pay tariffs, the best way to do it is just build your plant in the United States. Yes, please.
What do you expect from the Europeans in terms of opening the markets to American products?
Well, they have to open up to American products. You know, we're open to European products, and we have been for forever. I don't think we have, we just about don't have any, I don't think we have any product that we say you can't sell. I guess you could get a little bit cute with chips, but that's, you know, a little bit different category too. You know, Europe is very closed. We don't sell cars into Europe. We don't sell essentially agriculture of any great degree. They want to have their farmers do it, and they want to have their car companies do it. I mean, I'm not saying anything that nobody knows. We have a rough situation. If we want to sell cars in Europe, we're not allowed to. And as you know, they sell millions and millions of cars, Mercedes, BMW, so many different Volkswagen, so many different cars, and so many millions of cars. I would imagine number one, I didn't look at that, but I would imagine number one by far, more so than even Japan. Japan sells a lot of cars too. But the Japan deal worked out very favorably, very good. I hope for them too. That's what we want to do, make everybody happy. Yes, please.
Should Israel be doing more to allow food in Gaza?
Say it.
Should Israel be doing more to allow food in Gaza?
What did you say?
Should Israel be doing more to allow food into Gaza?
Well, we gave $60 million 2 weeks ago, and nobody even acknowledged it for food. And it's terrible. You really at least want to have somebody say thank you. No other country gave anything. We gave $60 million 2 weeks ago for food, for Gaza. And nobody acknowledged it, nobody talks about it. And it makes you feel a little bad when you do that, and you have other countries not giving anything. None of the European countries, by the way, gave. Nobody gave but us. And nobody said, gee, thank you very much. And it would be nice to have at least a thank you. And I took a lot of heat. When I do that, a lot of people aren't happy about that because they say, well, why are we doing it and nobody else? But I think we had a humanitarian reason for doing it. What's going to happen? I don't know. I can tell you that Hamas, as I said would happen, at the end, we've gotten back a lot of hostages, a tremendous number of hostages, most of them. Now we have dead hostages, and the mothers want them back, and we have 20 people approximately, but that are living. But we have a lot of bodies, and the parents want those bodies as much as they would want their child if that child were alive. I met with parents that it was so sad. Sir, please get my son back. How is your son doing? Well, he's dead, but they have his body, and it's so important. It's more important. It's almost like more, but it's as important as if the child were living. These people were, they're devastated. And I said, when you get it down to a certain number, you're not going to be able to make a deal with Hamas. Because once they give them up, then they feel that that's going to be the end of them. And what I said is exactly true. They had a routine discussion the other day, and all of a sudden they hardened up. They don't want to give them back. And so Israel's going to have to make a decision. I know what I do, but I don't think it's appropriate that I say, but Israel's going to have to make a decision.
Mr. President, when you were in the Middle East, you talked about the images coming out of Gaza and starving kids. Those images are still going, and even much worse, thinner children starving. What do you see or feel when you look at those images?
Well, it's terrible. When I see the children, and when I see, especially over the last couple of weeks, and people are stealing the food, they're stealing the money, they're stealing the money for the food, they're stealing weapons, they're stealing everything. It's a mess. That whole place is a mess. The Gaza Strip, was given many years ago so that they could have peace. That didn't work out too well. When Israel gave that up, whoever was the prime minister at the time, who I know who it was, but it was not exactly a very clever thing to do, because that was given so that they finally have peace, and it's actually made the situation worse. But we'll see what happens. I think Iran is acting up. I think that we have a lot of people we have Venezuela acting up in a different way. They continue to send people that we rebuff to our border. They continue to send drugs into our country. Venezuela, they've been very nasty, and we can't let that happen. But we have other countries too. We do have, and this is just getting a little off subject, but we have now the safest border we've ever had. And I think in many respects we probably have the most successful, and I say it all the time, every leader, when I went to NATO the other day, every leader said, you have the hottest country in the world. We have the hottest country in the world. We're taking in hundreds of billions of dollars. We have the highest stock market we've ever had. We have the best numbers we've ever had. But we have hundreds of billions of dollars pouring into our country. And I think it's the hottest. And by the way, 1 year ago, Our country was dead. We had a dead country because of an incompetent president and incompetent Democrats. All they know how to do is talk and think about conspiracy theories and nonsense. If they'd waste their time talking about America being great again, it would be so much nicer, so much easier, be very successful. But we were a dead country, and now we have the hottest country anywhere in the world. Yeah, any other questions?
President Trump, on this particular deal, if you manage to do a deal today, will that be the end of the matter, or could there be more tariffs coming, particularly on Paris?
No, if we do a deal today with the European Union, that will be the end of it. Yeah, we'll go, I guess, a number of years at least before we have to even discuss it again. No, that would be the end of it. And this is the biggest deal. People don't realize this is bigger than any other deal. We have,
Want to try tirzepatide?
So this is tirzepatide. It is the #1 weight loss medication available right now. This is not only a GLP-1, but a GIP medication, which means it hits 2 hormones at once. So if you're looking for the best weight loss medication you can get, tirzepatide is the one. And if you're looking to get access to this, you can just take the quiz below, and we will ship this out within 24 hours to your door, just like that.
Every tap is different. That's why it's so important to test your water before you treat your water. TapScore makes water testing really easy. We're going to send you professional sampling materials in your kit along with free shipping. And when you get your results back from the lab, everything is really clearly explained. All the detections, all the health issues, and you're going to get unbiased, independent advice on what are the best filters and treatment solutions for your home. Find out why Wirecutter calls TapScore the best water test. Don't waste your time or money on the wrong water filter. Test your water first. Test your water today.
great countries, great countries. I'm familiar with many of them, so are you. And this is really the biggest deal. This is I guess we're the biggest out there, and they're the second. And when we come together, this will be the biggest deal. If that happens, and it could happen, should happen. Okay? Thank you.
Will pharmaceuticals be part of today's?
No, it won't. Pharmaceuticals will be, I mean, could be, we'll do something, but basically pharmaceuticals won't be part of it because we have to have them built, made in the United States, and we want them made in the United States. And I think it's easy to say, and I think it's important to say pharmaceuticals are very special. We can't be in a position where we're relying on other countries. Now, Europe is going to make pharmaceuticals, drugs, and everything else for us too, a lot, but we're going to have also our own.
Question for President, by the way.
Yes.
Can you talk of your assessment of what you feel the chances are of dealing with the president just talked about 50-50 chance, and the biggest obstacle being fairness? What would you say are those things for you?
I think the president is right. We have a 50 to 50% chance to strike a deal. And indeed, it is about rebalancing. So you can call it fairness, you can call it rebalancing. We have a surplus, the United States has a deficit, and we have to rebalance it. We have an excellent trade relation. It's a huge volume of trade that we have together. So we will make it more sustainable.
Mr. Trump, can you do better than 15% tariff rate with the EU?
Better meaning lower? No.
Mr. President, for Senator Garth, you're going to meet the British Prime Minister tomorrow. He's going to ask you to consider again if peace talks with Israel and Hamas. Are you now saying there is no point?
Well, we're meeting about a lot of things. We have our trade deal, and it's been a great deal. It's good for them and good for us, I think. You know, the UK is very happy. They've been trying for 12 years to get it, and they got it, and it's a great trade deal for both. Works out very well. But we'll be discussing that. I think we're going to be discussing a lot about Israel. They're very much involved in terms of wanting something to happen. He's doing a very good job, by the way.
Also on Gaza, sir, did you speak with Prime Minister Netanyahu this weekend about getting more aid into Gaza?
I talked to him, yeah, I did. I talked to him about a lot of things. I talked to him about Iran. I think Iran's been very nasty with their words, with their mouth. I think they've been very nasty. They got the hell knocked out of them, and I don't think they know it. You know, I actually don't think they know it. They really do. The whole thing's a con job. We have a lot of con jobs going on. But Iran was beaten up very badly for good reason. We cannot have them have a nuclear weapon, but they still talk about enrichment. I mean, who would do that? You just come out of something that's so bad that they talk about, we want to continue enrichment. Who would say that? How stupid can you be to say that? So we're not going to allow that to happen. We're not allowing that to happen.
Did he talk about more aid to Gaza?
Will I do more aid? Yeah. The U.S. is going to do more aid for Gaza, but we'd like to have other countries participate. We're going to mention that to the European Union today. You know, that's an international problem. It's not a U.S. problem, it's an international problem. And we're giving a lot of money and a lot of food and a lot of everything. If we weren't there, I think people would have starved, frankly. They would have starved. And it's not like they're eating well, but a lot of that food is getting stolen by Hamas. You know, they're stealing the food, they're stealing a lot of things. You ship it in and they steal it, then they sell it.
Friday said that Europe would be crushed by mass migration. And I wonder whether your friend on his side really agree with you on that.
Well, I'd let you respond to that, Judy.
So we have been working intensively on the topic of irregular migration. And we have, from the very beginning, said that migration is a European challenge that needs a European answer. As Europeans, we will fulfill our international obligations, as we've done in the past, also in the future. But we, as Europeans, are the ones who decide who comes to the European Union and under what circumstances, and not the smugglers and traffickers. That's the principle in which we're working.
Sorry. I will say this, you know, they did ask me when I got off the plane, immigration, Europe has a tremendous problem, we do too, but we've sealed our borders up. We have nobody coming in, and we have hundreds of thousands of people being taken out, and the bad ones first, and I think we're doing a very good job of that. But we have, I mean, it literally registered 0 people last month, you probably saw that, nobody. And Europe has a very similar problem. I think they're going to end up in the same place. You might as well go there quicker. And the other thing I say to Europe, we will not allow a windmill to be built in the United States. They're killing us. They're killing the beauty of our scenery, our valleys, our beautiful plains. And I'm not talking about airplanes. I'm talking about beautiful plains, beautiful areas in the United States. And you look up, and you see windmills all over the place. It's a horrible thing. It's the most expensive form of energy. It's no good. They're made in China, almost all of them. When they start to rust and rot in 8 years, you can't really turn them off. You can't bury them. They won't let you bury the propellers, you know, the props, because there's a certain type of fiber that doesn't go well with the land. That's what they say. The environmentalists say you can't bury them because the fiber doesn't go well with the land. In other words, if you bury it, it will harm our soil. The whole thing is a con job. It's very expensive. And in all fairness, Germany tried it, and wind doesn't work. You need subsidy for wind, and energy should not need subsidy. With energy, you make money. You don't lose money. But more important than that is it ruins the landscape. It kills the birds. They're noisy. You know, you have a certain place in the Massachusetts area that over the last 20 years had 1 or 2 wells wash ashore, and over the last short period of time, they had 18, okay? Because it's driving them loco, it's driving them crazy. Now, windmills will not come, it's not gonna happen in the United States, and it's very expensive, and I would love to see, I mean, today I'm playing the best course, I think, in the world, Turnberry. Even though I own it, it's probably the best course in the world, right? And I look over the horizon and I see 9 windmills. It's like, great. At the end of the 18th, I said, isn't that a shame? What a shame. You have the same thing all over Europe in particular. You have windmills all over the place. Some of the countries prohibit it. But people ought to know that these windmills are very destructive. They're environmentally unsound, just the exact opposite. Because the environmentalists, they're not really environmentalists, they're political hacks. These are people that they almost want to harm the country. But you look at these beautiful landscapes all over the, the world. Many countries have gotten smart. They will not allow it. They will not. It's the worst form of energy, the most expensive form of energy. But windmills should not be allowed. Okay.
Cambodia and Thailand, we spoke to leaders of those countries.
I did.
Are they bringing us to stop the
I hope so. You're talking about Cambodia and Thailand? So I had an interesting time. We're dealing with Thailand, and we do a lot of trade with Thailand and with Cambodia. And yet, I'm reading that they're killing each other, they're fighting, they're in a war. And I say, this should be an easy one for me, because I've settled with India and Pakistan, and Serbia and Kosovo was going at it, but they have for a long time, in all fairness, and you know about that. And others, the Congo, and what's gone on there. That's been a horrible thing with Rwanda. That's been a horrible thing. 31 years, 7 million, 8 million people killed. Machetes all over the place. It's a terrible thing. We got that one solved. We did 5 of them. And I was saying, we have a trade. We were working on another, we finalized another trade deal yesterday. And I asked my people, I said, how are we doing with Cambodia and how are we doing with Thailand? And they say they're going to be coming in at some point to talk. I said, well, let's call them right now. So I called the prime ministers of each. And I said, we're not going to make a trade deal unless you settle the war. A lot of people are killed, that in a short period of time. The border, they're fighting pretty like wild. And I spoke to both of the prime ministers, and I think by the time I got it off, I think they want to settle now. I know they're meeting today or tomorrow, and we're going to work with them. Marco Rubio is working with him also, his people, and him. I think we're going to get that. That would be a great thing, but that would have turned out to be a bad one. And I will tell you, India and Pakistan, they were really getting ready to go at it. So getting those things settled, if I can do it, and if I can use trade to do that, it's my honor. But I had great talks with 2 very good people that they both really would like to make a deal. So we'll see what happens. Okay, how about one more, Joe?
Europe's now spending a lot more on defense thanks to you.
They are.
Should they get a fair deal on trade and exchange?
Well, they're spending a lot on defense, but we're spending a lot more, and we've been very generous to NATO for many, many years. And no, but we had a terrific meeting with NATO. I'd love to do as well. We had a meeting where they put up 5% instead of 2%, and they're going to pay it instead of not paying, because many people didn't pay the 2% or anywhere near it, and the 2% was too low. And we're going to be sending now military equipment and other equipment to NATO, and they'll be doing what they want, but I guess it's for the most part working with Ukraine. But we had a fantastic meeting. I guess it's now almost 4 weeks ago. One of the best meetings they've ever had at NATO, and the spirit and the coming together was incredible. And I stood and I listened to almost 30 speeches. That was a lot. And I was really late, and I had to leave, but I didn't want to leave before those last 10 spoke, because they go home and they tell their wife, Trump left. And they were so nice to the United States. They were all mentioning the United States, and me, but they were mentioning the United States to be here. It's such an honor, et cetera. And I thought it would have been there for, but I did stay. It was very hard, because I was extremely late for something else that was, pretty important. And we had a tremendous NATO meeting. I'm sure you heard that. It was great. There's some great people that you deal with on 2 fronts, right? But you deal with primarily the trade front. But I will tell you, they came together, and the relationship is really good. That was an interesting question, because you probably have reported it that way. It really, we came together, and they went from 2% to 5%, which nobody would have thought that was even. Who would even think that? Because they didn't want to be at 2%. All of a sudden, they're 5%. And that's the right number. And so it was a great honor. I got to know the heads of those countries really very well at that meeting almost a month ago, okay? Thank you very much, everybody. We'll let you know what's happening. I will. I love doing that. I'll go. I said, not in the strip, but I'll go see it. Okay? Thank you very much. Thank you.
As a professional mechanic, your tools are essential for your living. Icon tools complete every repair without giving an inch. Go with Icon tools. Tool truck quality, unbeatable value, only at Harbor Freight.
Millions of women experience hair loss. Hers has helped thousands of them grow it back. Through Hers, you can get access to a personalized prescription treatment that's uniquely formulated to help you meet your hair goals. Ready to stop hiding thinning spots and embrace thicker ponytails? Our once-a-day treatments are powered by doctor-trusted ingredients like minoxidil, proven to regrow hair in 3 to 6 months. Plus, Hers includes 100% online support, so you're never alone on your journey. Get back the hair you love with personalized treatment. Start today at forhers.com.
President Trump now addressing House Republicans at the White House. He just walked in. Let's listen live.
Gotta vote for us. The speaker would call and say, please, please get him to vote. I said, it's 4 a.m. And everybody took the call, and just about everybody voted. And it's an amazing thing. So amazing that I just signed, and it was really helped a lot by our big, beautiful deal that we just did, the big, beautiful bill, as we call it. But I just signed the largest trade deal in history. I think maybe the largest deal in history with Japan. And that was done with Japan. They had their top people here, and we worked on it long and hard, and it's a great deal for everybody. I always say it has to be great for everybody. It's a great deal. A lot different from the deals in the past, I can tell you that. But we're doing really well as a country. We're strong. We have a lot of money flowing in. The tariffs are kicked in better than anybody other than me and a few of the people in the room thought could happen, Howard and Scott. And I just want to thank you. You've been unbelievable allies, because you're really allies. That's what you've been, and we appreciate it. Some were very difficult, but you got there. And some were a little bit, they had a little confidence, and they came in early, and we just appreciate everybody. But we're gathered tonight to celebrate 6 months of incredible achievements by one of the most successful House majorities in American history. Despite having an incredibly narrow margin, and you know that, we had actually one period speaker where we had one. In other words, we had a majority of one. Then we took a few good victories with some little elections that took place. A couple of other things happened, and we ended up with 7. But we had one, and the speaker said to me, you know, we're one heart attack away from losing the majority. We don't want to be there, and I think the results of what we're doing together will give us a tremendous midterm. We're going to work together very hard. We're going to make all those robocalls for you, and we're going to pick it up, and we're going to really we're going to increase. I think we should increase by a lot. But despite this incredibly narrow margin that you've already fulfilled, think of this: more promises than any Congress in generations. There's been no Congress, and we've had some even where we were up quite a bit, but there's been no Congress like this Congress in terms of achievement that people can even think of. Now, we have to take world wars out. We can take a couple of things out, but basically there's never been anything like this. And we did this with very small majorities, and I want to thank John Thune also, because the Senate has been, and all of the people in the Senate, because they've been terrific also, working with Mike and everybody. But I especially tonight want to thank Speaker Johnson for doing a job that I think I think he'll go down, and I think he's got a long way to go. He's going to go down as one of the greatest speakers at any time in history. And you know, and I say this, you needed a very precise personality to get these voters. If you had somebody that was just a little bit off, you were going to lose 20 votes. Then you couldn't lose any. So I just want to thank you. Everybody believes that too, Mike. Thank you very much. Great job. And Kelly is here. Hi, Kelly. Hi, Kelly. Also, a man of great courage, Steve Scalise. He's our majority leader. No, I've told the story so many times, but he was very brave. I saw him in the worst of times. I was there at his hospital late at night with his incredible wife, and we thought Steve was not with us. He was going to be a goner, and he was tough. And I actually think you look better now than you did then. If you want to, you'd look better now than you did before this horrible thing happened. So whatever the hell you're doing, you're going to have to let us know, all right? But he's great. And another guy who I've really gotten to like, and usually this doesn't happen because I used to have little arguments. They said, well, he's a tough guy. He's a nasty, tough guy. And then I realized how talented he was, how good he was. And we got to be, I think, really good friends. Tom Emmer, he's incredible, actually. But his wife, oh, there she is. But she liked me, and she said, you know, you don't understand my husband. He's really, and she turned out to be right. His greatest asset. Thank you both for that sort of. It was incredible. And every other member of Congress that's with us, we have almost pretty much a full contingent. Some of you have your spouses, and we appreciate, and that's why we appreciate what you've had to go through. These were late nights, and a lot of them too. We had a lot of them. We had. If we turned off the phones at 3:30 in the morning, we weren't working very hard. It was really something. So I just want to thank you all. And we also have Secretary Scott Bessent. Is Scott here someplace? I think so. Scott, thank you very much, Scott. And we just came in from the Oval Office where a few people got to watch the negotiation with Japan. It was interesting. Doug Burgum, I think, might be here someplace. Doug, hi, Doug. And I said to the Japanese trade representatives, and these were the top people, we concluded the one deal, Doug, and now we're going to conclude another one because they're forming a joint venture with us in Alaska, as you know, for the LNG. So I said, we'll all do that together with Chris. Is Chris here? I don't know. Chris, right? If you could set that up, Doug, it would be great. But they're all set to make that deal now, so I think it's good. This was really the one they had to make, and we're going to make a deal with Japan on the LNG in Alaska, right? Okay, thank you very much. And Howard Lutnick, who was terrific. He was terrific. Howard, he'll never go back into private industry again because he's seen numbers that are so big. This deal is, they say, the biggest deal ever made, biggest deal ever made. And we have Europe coming in tomorrow and the next day. We have some other ones coming in. We're doing things that have never been done in this country before. And our country's becoming very rich again, and that's the way it should be. They're not taking advantage of us, and it's very good. But Howard will never go back into private. You know, he had a big company, but the biggest deal you've ever made is like a quarter of a line of the deal we just left, right? So it's a little tough. Scott Turner is here. It's terrific, Scott. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Scott. Good job. Good job, Scott. Thank you very much. In fact, Scott, come here. Come here. I'm going to have Scott say grace. Give a little prayer, yes? I hope the television stays on. You know, they have a tendency to turn off, but I think that's good. What do you think, Brian? Yes? Come on, Scott. And nobody does it like this man. He's better at this than he is at housing, but he's good at housing. That's great, man. Thank you. How are you, sir? I'm good.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Mr. President. We're so grateful for you, grateful for your sacrifice and for your heart for people, your heart for this country. your heart to do what's right, no matter what. And I'm so grateful that the Lord called us to be together for such a time as this. And so I really appreciate you. And I know I can speak for everyone out here that you are a tremendous leader. And we thank God for you. And we thank God for the First Lady and your family and everything that you've gone through for this country. And we're proud to stand with you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, let's pray. Father in heaven, we thank you. We're so grateful that we have this time to stand in your presence. Father God, we are at the White House. Father God, the most powerful place in the land. And Father, we thank you that President Trump allows us to take this time and go before the throne of heaven and give you reverence. You are the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, and Jesus, we thank you. We thank you that you love us so much. God, we thank you for this awesome privilege to serve the people of the United States of America. Father, the Bible says, blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord. And Father, we put you on your rightful place tonight, on the thrones of our heart. And Father God, on the throne of this country. Father God, we humble ourselves before you tonight, and we thank you for your goodness, for your mercy, for your grace. Father, we pray for those precious people in Central Texas, Father God, that have lost loved ones, who have lost children, who have lost family members. Thank you, God, for those on the ground who are working hard to, Father God, to help those to be recovered and rescued and restored. And Father, we pray in the days ahead, it's going to get real dark, but Father, we know that you're a light in the midst of darkness. Lord, thank you for the people of Texas, that they are so resilient. And God, we thank you that you are so faithful in the midst of the storm. Now, Father, tonight we thank you for every congressional member, their staff, their families, their spouses. Lord, thank you for giving us favor to pass this one big, beautiful bill and what it does for the people of this great country, not just for now, but for the posterity of our nation. And Lord, tonight, may you be glorified in our time together. And Lord, I pray that you will bless our president. God, everything he puts his hands to, we pray you will bless it. Strengthen him. Father, give him wisdom like never before. Open his eyes to see like he's never seen, and his ears to hear your sweet, small voice in the midnight hour. Lord, let him know that it is well with his soul. In Jesus' name, amen.
Chief Lace, America's #1 plantain chip. Get $1 off. Have you heard of this revolutionary approach using stem cell support for your eyes? VisionMD is changing the game. Your eyes deserve the best care possible, and VisionMD is at the forefront of innovation. With advanced stem cell support, VisionMD helps regenerate and protect eye cells, keeping your vision clear and healthy over time so you can get back to doing the things you love and never lose sight of what matters most again. But that's not all. It's also packed with clinically backed nutrients like lutein, zeaxanthin, and vitamin E, ingredients inspired by leading research to protect your eyes from oxidative stress and age-related changes. Your vision plays a huge role in your independence and your quality of life. Don't let it fade. Try VisionMD today and give your eyes the support they need to keep up with you. Visit the link below to learn more.
There is a faster way to get hard than Viagra. It's called RoseSparks. RoseSparks is a dual-action treatment that works in only 15 minutes, compared to Viagra, which can take up to 1 hour to work. Sparks also stays in your system for up to 36 hours. So you and your girl can be together whenever the mood strikes. So how does it work? Sparks combine ingredients in the leading ED treatments, sildenafil and tadalafil. So you can get harder faster and stay harder longer. Come on guys, see if RoseSparks are right for you.
Beautiful. Thank you, Scott. That's beautiful. Thank you very much. So nice. So we also want to thank Linda McMahon, who's right now, where are you, Linda? She's out negotiating with a lot of different people. What a great cabinet member and person, and she's working on bringing education back to the states where it belongs. and lots of other things like how come Harvard got $5 billion in the last year and a half or 2 years? $5 billion they got. Then they said, you know, you're not going to be happy. Well, Harvard's getting billions and billions of dollars, and they're not spending it nicely, and they're very discriminatory and lots of other things. And she's got a tough judge. She's got a judge that would typically not be with us. But I don't want to say that because you never know what happens. But we'll win that case ultimately. We're going to win it. No decision made yet, but she's in the middle of a lot of things. But Linda, you have been unbelievable. Thank you very much. Great job you've done. And I said hello to Chris Wright. Chris is the most talented person. Doug actually said that. I offered Doug Department of Energy noise. He said, I have somebody better. He's never said that in his whole life about anybody, Mary. He's never said that about anybody, but he said Chris Wright is so incredible, and he has turned. He's the #1 guy in the oil industry, and he left for, I won't even tell you the money he was making. It was crazy money, but he knew that, and he wanted this, and he and Doug have done an incredible job, and thank you, Chris, very much. And Doug Collins, where's Doug Collins? Doug Collins, what a great guy he's been. What a great guy. At the VA right now, you have a 92% approval rating. That's not bad. Let's see if you can get it up a little bit. Who are the 8%, right? But he's working on it. He is working on it. He's incredible. What a job. Thank you, Doug. What a great job you're doing. Appreciate it. As well as EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin. Where's Lee? This guy. People don't know, he was a great lawyer, like top of the line, and then he became a congressman in a race that he had no chance to win. He won, and was a congressman like for 6 years or something, and was highly respected. And then he took a shot at running for governor of New York, even though people said it was almost impossible to even think about, and he almost won. He came so close, almost won. And I appointed him as the environmental czar. He's our environment czar. And what a job, secretary on the cabinet. He's got everything. And the job he's been doing is incredible because we have $16 trillion so far invested in our country. We've never had anything even close. And this is just really in the last 4 months, not 6 months. That's when we started accepting things and getting things going and getting them rock and rolling. And Lee is getting the permits for people so fast. You know, the biggest problem they have is we can't build if you're not going to give us the permits, or if it's going to take 9 years to get a permit and then get rejected. You know, they'd wait 9, 10, 12 years to do environmental impact statements, and at the end of 12 years, they'd get a rejection, 3-2. You know, they gave their lives to it. We don't do that anymore. He does it within weeks, and we really appreciate Lee. He's got an incredible staff, and we appreciate the job he's done. He's an unbelievable guy. OMB Director Russ Vought. Nobody knows the finances of this country and the waste, fraud, and abuse better than Russell. So Russell, I want to thank you for doing such a great job. You're really in there fighting, and really was a big help during this whole situation that we had, Tom, right, with Russ, when we had to know the numbers. There's nobody that knows them better. He lives with them. Director of National Intelligence. Oh, where's Dulcie? She's like hotter than everybody. She's the hottest one in the room right now. Because she found out, I think we knew it before, in all fairness, Dulcie. But now you have certainty. She has all the documents. She has everything that you need. And she found out that Barack Hussein Obama led a group of people and they cheated in the elections, and they cheated without question. It's not even a quote. Would you say there's even a little question there, Tulsi? She says no. And you found things that nobody thought we'd ever find. And I'm very happy and very honored to have you with us. She's right now, by far, Speaker, she's hotter than you right now, Speaker. She's the hottest person in the room right now, Speaker. So Tulsi, great job. And I know you have a lot more coming. She told me you've seen nothing yet. So I heard those rumors about you, but now I know they're true. So we're very proud of you, Tulsi. They cheated so badly, and ultimately it led to a loss in 2020, and it shouldn't have been a loss. It was a big victory. We won by a lot. We had to do it again. But if I thought we lost, I would never have run again. And this is a far more consequential election than it would have been if we did. That's the only thing I can say in favor of it. But we can't ever let that happen again to our country. Look at what happened in terms of inflation, in terms of so many things. But most importantly, maybe in terms of allowing millions and millions of people into our country that we shouldn't have. We shouldn't have these people in our country, and their levels of violence and things that we're seeing are so bad, and we're getting them out, and Tom Homan and Christie have done an incredible job, and but we're getting them out. But this should have never happened. It was like just a terrible, unforced error. The only thing that I can't figure out, I always like to figure the other side. Why would they do this? Why would they allow people to come into our country from all over the world, not just South America, but from Venezuela, but from all over the world? They came, and they came by hundreds of thousands, in some cases hundreds of thousands a day. When you look at some of these, they break down gates. We built hundreds of miles of wall. They didn't break down the wall, but anything that wasn't a wall, they were able to break it down. And they came in, though, by the millions, and we're going to be paying a price for this, and we are paying a price. It's all consuming. And we have to get 11,888 murderers, many of them murdered more than one person. And they're in here, and some are already gone. We've gotten them out. Some we can't get out. We want to put them in jails because we're afraid they'll come back. They're so violent. And they used to say, no, these are illegal immigrants. They said are very kind people. Remember that? They used to say they're kind, they don't commit crimes. No, they make our criminals look like extremely nice people. And we have to get them out, and it's a big job, but we're doing it, and step by step. And last month, as you know, in June, we had 0 people come through the border, right? 0 people come through the border. So we're doing a real job, but what we found out is horrible, that Obama and a group of thugs cheated on the elections. They cheated violently, viciously on the elections. They're violent people. They're vicious, horrible. These are vicious, horrible people. And we can't let this happen. SBA Administrator Kelly Loeffler, a cabinet member, and a great person like Kelly. And she has done a job. You know, I always say small business. I used to say it with somebody else that happened to be, Linda, you happened to be there. I said, it's small business, but it's actually the biggest business there is, right? Probably there is. When you added up all those little small loans, you add them up, it's the biggest bank there is. But Kelly, you're doing a fantastic job. Thank you very much. Don't do a better job than Linda. That would be terrible. Linda had the job before you. She was so great. But don't beat her, because Linda would be very upset about that. Actually, she'd be happy. I think you'd be happy about it, right, Linda? That's the way Linda is. I want to also express our gratitude to all of the wonderful friends, and mostly spouses, but the wonderful friends that we have here. This is sort of just a great period of time for the country, and it's a great period of time for the Republican Party. I also want to wish Congresswoman, a truly beautiful woman, Mary Miller, and her husband, her handsome husband. This is like I'd like to use them on the front page of an advertisement for people that come to a hotel or something, but they're like I think they're a perfect couple. Mary Miller, I'd like to thank you and wish you a lot with your husband, Chris, and a very happy 45th wedding anniversary. Wow. It's a beautiful couple with beautiful children and grandchildren. Good. Keep it going. Keep it going. Mary's very respected too, Chris. You know that. She's doing a fantastic job. Beautiful woman. And happy birthday to Representative Robert Adderholt. Where is Robert? Robert? Happy anniversary, Robert. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. So we have an anniversary, we have a birthday today. Anybody else having a birthday or anything? Robert, great job you're doing. Thank you very much. We appreciate it very much. Time and time again, the House Republican majority has defied the odds to deliver win after win for the American people. They were giving us very small odds of doing this bill. In fact, we were originally breaking it up into 7, and then 6, and then about 3 and 2. And then ultimately we said one, and I had it a little different name. I had one great, big, beautiful bill. But Steve said that's too much. That's a little too much. Let's take the word great out. But it is great. It was a little tougher to say, a little too long. But we took the word great out. But it is really one incredible situation that we passed. And people said that we'll do a number of bills and it'll be much easier. Typically that's the way, except the problem was you had some where for the good of the country you had to do certain things, but it wouldn't necessarily mean you were going to get the votes. But you needed it for the good of the country. But the big, beautiful bill, the beauty is that it had something in it and a lot for everyone, including the people in this room that had a vote. So I think it was an incredible decision that we made pretty early on, right? We had a lot of people that were skeptical, Mike, about doing the one. They said it's just not possible to get it passed. And I think it actually turned out to be the biggest advantage because everybody had something in it. No matter who you were, you could go back and say, look what we got. Oh, well, that's okay. So it really worked out well. You passed the Laken Riley Act. You passed the Halt Fentanyl Act. That's big stuff. You know, we are tariffing countries that are sending us fentanyl and working with fentanyl. And sadly, we're taking in billions and billions of dollars, but we don't want to take in billions for that. We want them to stop, and they will. With the help of our great First Lady, you passed the Take It Down Act. That's a big thing, and it was a bipartisan. That was very bipartisan. I think I'll ask her to get involved in more action. It was like a real bipartisan, not where you had two. You had a lot of Democrats vote for that one. That's a beautiful thing, the horrible things that take place on the internet, and they destroy children, and children do bad things to themselves, including, you know what the word is, suicide. And it really broke our heart to see it so often, so much. And Take It Down, we take it off the internet. They do things that are so bad. And it was a great thing that you did, bipartisan. On July 3rd, you passed the One Big Beautiful Bill, and that's going to go down, I think, as one of the most monumental achievements ever in congressional history. In one historic package, we delivered the largest tax cut in American history, the largest spending cut in American history, and the largest border security investment in American history. And we got no tax on tips. Think of it, no tax on Social Security. We have no tax on overtime. It's just been, there's never been anything like it. And when you explain it, you know, because the Democrats are out there saying death. That's all they're given the word manufactured. They manufactured. The word they use is death. That's the only thing they're good at. That's the only thing. So they have death. And when we get out and sell, it's the opposite. It gives us life. It gives the country life. It gives, you could look at Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security. It gives it life. It means it's going to be here. They're going to be here. They wouldn't be here. I don't think we'd have a country. You want to know the truth? If we didn't win this election, I don't think we'd even have a country. But we've achieved more in 6 months than the most administrations have achieved during their 4 years or even 8 years. We've achieved more in 6 months than most administrations have achieved, whether it's 4 years or 8 years, which is pretty incredible. And when I was in Saudi Arabia, we took back $5.1 trillion. We went to Qatar, we went to Saudi Arabia, and UAE. Great leaders, all three, and great. They were great. And they invested, when I say took it back, I mean took it back in terms of an investment in the country, $5.1 trillion with a T, trillion dollars. And the King of Saudi Arabia looked at me and says, you know what? 1 year ago, America was dead. Your country was dead. He said, and now you have the hottest country anywhere in the world. That's a big statement, and that was 2 months ago. But he said, you went from a dead country, which is pretty hard to hear that. But it's true. I mean, think of it. We had a dead country. We had an embarrassment. All over the world, they were laughing at us like we were a bunch of fools. We had a dead country. Now we have the hottest country anywhere in the world. There's no country even close to being as hot. And those great representatives of Japan that a few of you, including the speaker, got to see in action, smart and sharp. And they said the same thing. They said, look, you have the hottest country in the world. So since I took office, the NASDAQ and the S&P 500, and they just did it again today, have set more than a dozen record highs. Core inflation is way down, below 2%. Think of that. And gas prices are the lowest they've been in many, many years. You know, it's interesting. I watch the Democrats and they get on these shows, well, prices are up, energy is up, gasoline is through the roof, food and groceries are up. They lie. One guy even said eggs are up, and we reduced it by about 5 times. Think of it, eggs, because when I first got here, the first week, they hit me, the fake news back then, they hit me. First week, they're screaming at me, eggs are through the roof, what are you gonna do? I said, this isn't my problem, this was, Biden did this, not Trump. But they were screaming at me. I said, just give me a chance. And I will say our Secretary of Agriculture, Brooke, did a great job. Brooke Rollins, she did a great job. She's here too. Thank you, Brooke. But think of what we've done. So prices are all down. I don't think there's any price other than we have a real terrible head of the Fed. And if he brought down interest, you know, in Europe, the European Union, they've lowered their interest rate now 11 times. And we haven't lowered ours at all. He's a stiff, he's a knucklehead. And I was very nice to him at the beginning because I know how to sell. And you know, at a certain point, it didn't matter anymore because the guy is just not a smart person. He shouldn't have been there. And I blame myself in a way for that, but I blame Biden for extending. I was surprised that they extended him, but they did. I think they extended him because they knew how much I couldn't stand him. So they did it for that reason. But and he did lower the rate before the election 2 or 3 times. It's the only time he's really acted like that. But no, he's a bad job. And he's hurting people. He's hurting people that can't get houses because they don't have mortgages. And I don't know if he knows it or not. He's either evil or stupid, and either is really not acceptable. But he's not doing a good job. And but he's only going to be there for a short while. Not going to be there much longer. Our deregulation efforts are saving the typical family thousands and thousands of dollars. So remember, when you're campaigning, gotta remember this. Prices are down, groceries are down, oil is down, energy is down, gasoline is, wow. We hit $1.99 a gallon today in 5 different states. You know, in California, he keeps adding taxes, you know, when you go to $7, $8, but I mean, they just keep putting taxes on gasoline. It's crazy. I think you ought to take a look at that, Doug. It's ridiculous what he's doing out there. And he's really hurting people a lot. But we have, in free market, we have gasoline that's getting down to the low 2s. And in some cases, even breaking that. I think you're going to end up breaking it if Doug does his job with Chris. You're going to be drill, baby, drill, right, Doug? That's Doug. He really took that theme to heart. He's going wild, actually. And we'll fill up the strategic reserves. You know, they use these are massive cavities in Earth that you wouldn't believe how big, and they took the oil out that we put in. We put in a lot at good prices, and they took it out before the election. And it didn't really amount to that much for cars. You know, it didn't last that long, actually, because that's as big as those cavities. We call them cavities, caves, incredible salt. They're salt mines, and they have almost an unlimited capacity, but it is limited. And they were just about filled up to the top. And for the election, they started emptying it. It wasn't meant for that. It really meant for a military emergency. It wasn't meant to keep prices down so that somebody can win an election, but obviously that didn't work. And the blue-collar workers have already seen their largest real wage increase in 60 years, another thing you can say. But the biggest thing you can say, and I told Mike today, I said, Mike, there's one thing where I don't believe we can lose.
I guess I'm not the easiest person to please. I like things just right. That's why I love Redfin's home recommendations. They know what I want even before I do. A home that's just right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bauer tools give you the confidence to take on challenging home projects. With hundreds of corded and cordless tools and accessories, Bauer enables you to complete tough vehicle maintenance and repairs, manage difficult landscaping projects, tackle demanding home renovations, and even turn your garage into a workshop. For all your current and future projects, Bauer is ready to deliver. Bauer, heavy duty guaranteed.
Hi, I'm Jim Riley. I'm an attorney on Just Answer. I've been a lawyer for 34 years. I went to Pepperdine University School of Law in Southern California. Spent 10 years working in the Orange County District Attorney's Office prosecuting criminal cases. And for the last 24 years, I've been in private practice in the San Francisco Bay Area, doing primarily criminal defense. When customers come to Just Answer, they typically don't have much knowledge about what's going on in the legal world. Law is a very arcane subject, one that has a lot of special rules, a lot of statutes, a lot of court rules. Just Answer has some really great legal experts, and customers can obtain basic information about legal issues to be able to make their own decisions. That's the kind of information they can get on Just Answer.
So, at the end of my first term, I was so proud of myself because I worked very hard, and pharmaceuticals, drug prices, went down for the first time in 28 years. Think of that. First time in 28 years they went down. You know what they went down? 1/4 of 1 point. Little much. The line was almost straight. It was like key, but it went down. First time in many years. 28, I think. And I was so proud I called a news conference to announce that drug prices have gone down for the first time in many years. And I thought it was great, but then I did something much better. And this is what you have to run on. I have a friend who has a serious weight problem. Serious. He's brilliant, but extremely heavy. I'm being nice. And he takes Ozempic, or as they call it, the fat drug. And he's a brilliant guy. He's rich, tough, highly neurotic. He's a mess. He's a total mess. But he is brilliant and rich. And he was in London. And he calls me like, President. He always used to call me Donnie. Now he calls me President. That's good. I like that better. He goes, President, what's going on? I just bought the Ozempic for $88. And in New York, I paid $1,300. Same factory, same company that makes it, same everything. $88 to $1,300. He said almost $1,300. And I explained to him that that's the way it's been for many, many years, where people actually go to Europe in order to buy drugs. When they come back, they'll load it up. In fact, sometimes they get arrested for having so much they think they're drug addicts. They just buy months of supply because it's sometimes 1/10, 1/8, 1/5, 1/2. It's a tremendous difference. And this is for the people in this room, because this is something that nobody else can do. We're going to get the drug prices down, not 30 or 40%, which would be great, not 50 or 60, no. We're going to get them down 1,000%, 600%, 500%, 1,500%, numbers that are not even thought to be achievable, because I've used a certain talent that I have and convinced the drug companies that you have no choice. The drug companies were selling drugs, same company, in Europe and other places, based on what Europe told them to sell them at. And they said, let America pick up the difference, and I wouldn't let it happen. I wouldn't let it happen. So I invoked what's called a favored nations provision, so that we will pay the same price as the lowest nation anywhere in the world. And drugs will come down, like from, as an example, $1,300 in the case I gave you. They'll come down from $1,300. Now, in the world, they'll go up a little bit. Not as much as you think, because the world is bigger than the United States in terms of population, as you probably know. But it will go up. And maybe it'll go up, instead of $88 or $90, it will go up to 110 or 120 or 140. But we're going to come down to 140. So you're going to have it coming down from $1,300 to 140, 150, 160. What difference? I mean, somewhere big. And it'll be, serious. It'll be numbers that nobody can even imagine. That's going to have a huge impact on Medicaid, Medicare, even Social Security. It's going to have a huge impact on everything. So I just want you to know that that's one of the things that you have, and they'll never be able to take it away from you. You know, when I said no tax on tips, Kamala got just killed. We won Nevada by a lot. You know, they have 99.9% of the people work in hotels. Right? I said no tax on tips, and a month later she said, and there will be no tax on tips. And they got booed out of the room because they knew that was our issue. So they'll try and pick up on this issue. They can't because we did it, but they'll try anyway because they do lie terribly. We will have reduced drug prices by 1,000%, by 1,100, 1,200, 1,300, 1,400, 700, 600, not 30 or 40 or 50%, but numbers the likes of which you've never even dreamed of before. And we're working very hard right now to get the other countries to lift up their prices a little bit and to get the drug companies to put it to them. And if they don't, the drug companies will have a lot of problems, and they are mostly agreed to it. And if the countries don't, then as an example, if it's Europe, I'll say that's okay. You're no longer allowed to sell cars in America. You're no longer allowed to have Mercedes, BMW, Volkswagen, or any of the other many cars. And they will say, oh, I love the idea of lower drug prices for America. So you have to use that. You have to use that because it's, I mean, I can't think of anything that can be more powerful than that, okay? And there's nothing more powerful than that. And we can't forget about it. I said, one thing I said to the speaker today, I said, the one thing I'm gonna bring up tonight, because we have so many of the congressmen and women in the room, but the one thing I'm gonna bring up is what we did with, we call it favored nations, but so we're gonna have the lowest drug prices anywhere in the world. We'll be tied for the lowest drug price, essentially, anywhere in the world. And you can win your election. I don't care where you come from, that helps everybody. There's no other point, I think, that can, what do you think, Mary? Do you agree? Okay, I agree too, Mary. You better agree, Mary. If you didn't agree, if you didn't agree. But no, it's an amazing thing. And nobody thought that was even possible. So we've negotiated historic trade deals with the United Kingdom, Indonesia, China, today Japan and the Philippines. We just did the Philippines today also. A good deal. We have stopped wars between India and Pakistan, the Democratic Republic of the Congo and Rwanda. That was going on for 30 years. And by the way, India and Pakistan was probably going to end up in a nuclear war if they kept, you know, they shut down 5 planes in the last attack. And it was back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And I called them and I said, listen, no more trade. If you do this, you're not going to be good. But they're both powerful nuclear nations. And that would have happened, and who knows where that would have ended up. And I stopped it. Iran, you saw, we took out their entire capability of nuclear. Kosovo and Serbia, we stopped that. And a couple of others that we didn't stop a war, but we stopped what probably could have ended up in a war. We do that on the House as compliments of America, okay? Do you think Biden would do that? I don't think so. Do you think he ever heard of any of those countries? I don't think so. I was sitting there screaming back and forth with Japan, and somebody said, can you imagine Biden doing this? I don't think so. There would be no negotiation. We'd just be ripped off like we have been. We've been ripped off so many years by friend and foe. And you know what? The friend has been worse in many cases than the foe, but ripped off on trade and other things. And I'm very proud to tell you that with NATO, the European, if you look, the European countries essentially will be buying our equipment, paying 100% on the dollar, and then they're going to distribute it to where they're going to distribute it, which is going to be to Ukraine or whatever, but they're buying it, so we're not going to have the expense of giving away. Biden gave away $350 billion worth of equipment, or cash, worse than equipment, cash. So we want to find out about that someday, I guess, right? But they were supposed to buy their own equipment, but you know, I have a feeling they didn't spend every dollar on the equipment. But they are brave. Look, they're fighting a hard fight, and we're no longer going to do that. Our great companies, we make the best military equipment in the world, and our great companies are going to be selling now, and they'll be using it. So even those people that don't want to be in the war, and I'm one of them, but even those people are saying, wow, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. So they'll be able to defend themselves, and we will no longer be paying for it. And I think that's a very big thing. So we've achieved incredible things in a very short period of time. And in polling released just last week, it was announced that the approval for congressional Democrats under Hakeem Jeffries has reached the lowest ever recorded, 19%. And Republicans are doing well. And I have the best numbers I've ever had. You know, it's amazing. I watch people on television. Well, what about Donald Trump's polling numbers? Yeah, they're the best numbers I've ever had. And with this made-up hoax that they're talking about, my numbers have gone up 4 and 5 points. They want to do anything to get us off the subject of making America great again. And we're not going to put up with it. And remember, don't let them forget, it's so important, Obama cheated on the election. Look, the camera just went off. Obama, the red light just went off. Can you believe these people, how bad they are? Obama cheated. When they give you all the nonsense, Obama cheated, and his people cheated, but he was there. You ever hear this? They talk about, if they ever even mention it, they never mention his name. Just the opposite with me. But they only mention my name. They don't mention any of you guys. They don't mention Tom. They don't mention Steve. They don't mention our great speaker. They mention Trump all the time. I'd like to have them mention you. But remember this, Obama cheated on the election. And we have it cold, hard, blue, and it's getting even more so because the stuff that's coming in is not even believable. So, and you should mention that every time they give you a question that's not appropriate, just say, oh, by the way, Obama cheated on the election. You'll watch the camera turn off instantly. But I want to thank all of you again, once again. This is an incredible job. It's incredible people, really incredible people. And you know, it's very interesting. I got to know so many of you over the last 6 months, really. But so many of you, some I didn't know. But you have tremendous talent. And you have some I spoke to too much. And I particularly like the ones I didn't have to speak to at all, Mary. I didn't have to call Mary. But in particular, but I like them all. Look, in the end, we got there. We got the vote of almost a couple of people that will never vote, no matter what. You know, they think it's so cool not to vote. They have no suggestions. They have no ideas. They have no nothing. They just want to vote no. I don't know why. They're not doing very well on the polls right now, by the way, I'll tell you right now. But I want to just, if I could for a second, because he really deserves it, is truly a spectacular person, spectacular man. I'd like to ask the Speaker, Mike Johnson, to come up and say a few words.
Mr. President, I'm not going to speak long. These guys hear me talk all the time, okay? I just want to say that we have been making history together, and we're making history because you are the visionary, bold, strong leader that America needed. The American people recognize that. They gave us a mandate, and we're delivering on it. The exciting thing about the Big Beautiful Bill is America First is no longer just an agenda. It is now the law of the land, my friends. I could go by and name person by person, and I should name their spouses as well. All the members in this room, everybody deserves the credit. They underestimated us all the time, every day, because our margin is so small. But we do not accept that as our fate. We worked together. This was prayer and patience and preparation and teamwork that got it done. We began this about a year and a half before that bill was delivered. The deliberate work down in the trenches. I can name the chairman of all of our committees, 11 committees of jurisdiction that worked on the Big Beautiful Bill. All the members in here who contributed their ideas, their thoughts, their expertise. They gave their heart and soul to it, Mr. President, because they wanted to deliver for you and deliver for the people, and we did it together. And I'm telling you, this is landmark stuff. There's not anything bigger I think we may ever work on, ever, in this legislative arena, because it may not even be possible, but we did it. And I'm so grateful and I'm so thankful and humbled to work with this group. Mr. President, they are committed to the country as you are. You are the strong leader, the example for us. With your stamina, we know we can never sleep, okay? We've got much more to do to deliver for the people, and we're going to do it. We thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for the celebration. Everybody here deserves it.
Not all meals are created equal. For instance, breakfast has a spicy egg with muffin for a limited time, and lunch doesn't. McDonald's breakfast comes first. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
This summer, there's something in the water. There's something in the air. There's something in the streets. Universal Orlando is your must-do. Can't miss summertime getaway. Visit universalorlando.com.
We're going to do something a little different for this country. We're going to supply weapons to NATO at a large amount. They're going to deliver the weapons, and they're going to pay for 100% of the weapons. So, really different. Really different. Hi, John. So we're really, that's a big thing. And we thought we had 4 deals, Howard, right, with Putin. Somehow they end and we get off the phone. Oh, that was a very nice conversation. And then he sends missiles into buildings someplace. I said, what was that all about? So anyway, so we're going to be doing that with NATO, and it's fully approved, fully done. We'll send them a lot of weapons of all kinds, and they're going to deliver those weapons immediately to the site of the war, different sites of the war, and they're going to pay for 100% of them. This all was made possible by going from 2 to 5% a month ago when I went there. So, and those countries, those European countries, and I said, look, we have an ocean. It's not fair that we did, because under the Biden administration, we paid about 3.5 times more than they did. We were in for 350 billion. Got nothing for it. We were in for 350, and they were in for 100. So, which really meant one thing, because you have great business leaders here. It meant very simply that they were better negotiators than our president was. But so this is a very important thing, and hopefully that will come to an end. At the end of 50 days, if we don't have a deal, then we're going to have to do. We have no choice but to do secondary tariffs. You call it secondary tariffs, which are pretty tough. Which we don't want to have to do, but let's see what happens. But we thought we had a deal. Numerous times I'd get home, I'd say, First Lady, I had the most wonderful talk with Vladimir. I think we're finished. And then I'll turn on the television, or she'll say to me one time, well, that is strange because they just bombed a nursing home. I said, what? So we don't like that. But I want to thank you all for being here, and welcome to the first ever White House Summit of Faith and Business Leaders. You're really some of the greatest business leaders in the country. When I looked at some of the names, I said, whoa, that's big stuff we have here today. In fact, before I was president, I would have been very intimidated, but now I'm president, so I don't have to. But today we celebrate the core values that built this country: freedom, hard work, risk-taking, and above all, trust in Almighty God. You're very much into God in this room, and it's very nice. You're business leaders who believe strongly. We have some business leaders that don't believe strongly, and somehow you and I don't like them as much. But I want to thank Pastor Paula White. She's been my friend for a long time. And John, for convening this incredible group. You know, her husband's one of the most talented musicians in the world. Stand up, John. Stand up. Okay? I stole a couple of his songs for the rallies, and he never sued me, so I was very happy. But we all come from the same place, right? So it was great, and we appreciate it, John. Thanks as well to Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, who's doing a fantastic job. He goes on television and he calms the market. I go on television, I rile the market, and I say, we better send him in there, Howard, right? And the market's become so calm and nice. So you're doing a good job, Scott. Thank you very much. You make any deals today? We got a lot of them, boy, I tell you, we have. But the best deal is just sending out the paper. You know, they keep saying, well, here's a great deal. Well, we made a number of deals, but why isn't he doing this? Because the paper is better than any deal we can make. Do you understand? The people at this, Kevin, they asked you that question this morning. You were great this morning, but they said, well, when is he going to start making deals? the next time we could say just, no, every time he sends out a document that you have to pay 35%, 25%, or 50%, or in one case 100%. Those deals, you can't beat those deals, but we're still willing to talk. And they all, literally every country wants to make a deal. We're in a good position. You would go in a position of strength. I don't talk that way because I'm a politician now, unfortunately. And I don't want to talk about strength, though. I just want to say we have to be treated fairly because we were ripped off on trade and the military for, we protected other nations. Nobody paid us. Nobody did anything for us. Nobody helped us. And that's much different. NATO is a much different situation now. When I got in, I believe we were paying for 100% of NATO. And now they're paying, they went from 2%, but they were paying 1% to 5% that they're paying. It's a big difference. It's about $1 trillion difference. And they're wealthy, for the most part, wealthy countries. And some of them they're among the most powerful, among the wealthiest countries in the world. So they're going to start paying, and they want to pay. And we had a great meeting about 1 month ago that set the stage for what happened here. But it's very important. So I want to thank Scott for being here. I want to thank Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick. You are doing a good job today. Am I right when I say I really don't want deals? I just want the paper to get sent? Right? It's true. I don't know if this is on television. It's always on television. SBA administrator and a great person, cabinet member, a friend of mine for a long time, Kelly Loeffler. Kelly, you're doing great. She's small business, right? She only does small business, but when you add it all up, it's the biggest bank in the world by a factor of about 10, right? She's doing a great job. And director of the White House Faith Office, Jenny Korn, who's also amazing. Thanks, Jenny. From the earliest days of our republic, the steady compass of faith has guided the strong hands of American workers, builders, and entrepreneurs like really no other. Our country was founded by pilgrims and believers, and every generation since, Americans of faith have built our communities and forged new industries and enriched our country by millions and millions of people and ways. John D. Rockefeller, J.C. Penney, Charles Goodyear, Truett Cathy, and frankly, we have people I could name right in this room sitting here that their names are every bit as big as that. They were inspired by their love of God, and now the proud tradition continues with all of you. And this group reminds us, as a nation that prays is a nation that prospers. And you see that I think one of the reasons we went so bad is they really wanted to take God and religion out of your lives. And there was nobody to, look up to. There was just nobody. It was, we were freewheeling. And we can't freewheel. Now we have to bring religion back into the country, and we're starting to do that, I think, at a very high level, Paula, very, very high level. You see churches are starting to fill up again. Under the Trump administration, America is prospering, and America is winning like never before. Our country is back. So I was in Qatar, Saudi Arabia, UAE, and then a month ago we were in Europe with all of the NATO countries, European countries, and plus Canada. And almost everyone said almost the exact same words. They said, 1 year ago, your country was dead. Terrible term, but that's what it is. Your country was dead. We thought it was finished. And now you've got the hottest country anywhere in the world. It's true. Is the hottest country. Did you see they found $25 billion of essentially profits last night? They said, where did it come from? It came from management, but it came from tariffs. And it came from, good business skill. And I've always made money. Now I'm making it for you people. I've had good days and bad days, but in good days and bad days, I always found a way to make money, and we have to do that for our country. But and we did 188 billion in Scott just now, 188 billion in tariffs, 188, and we haven't even started yet. That's only for cars and steel. We actually have barely started. The economy is roaring, business confidence is soaring, incomes are up, prices are down, and inflation is dead. It's dead. We have a bad Fed chairman, really bad. If he would lower the rates, and I tried being nice to the guy, it doesn't help. He's like a knucklehead. Oh, he's a knucklehead. A stupid guy. He really is. You know, each point, think of this, each point costs us $360 billion. Billion. 1 point, $360 billion. 2 points, you got 600, $700 billion. And we're way high. We're at 450 or 425, 450. And how do you go borrow money at 1% when the Fed has you at 450? And, you know, it's not that easy. I get angry at them. Why are we paying so much? And, you know, because he's got you up at this number. And we should always be the lowest. Now that we're doing great, we have no inflation. Think of it. Our stock market hit record highs. Everything's hitting a record high. We're really running good with no inflation. And we should be at 1%. We should be less than 1%. I think Switzerland is the lowest at like 0.5%. We should be lower because without us, there's no world. I don't want to sound overly aggressive, but without us, you have no world. And we put our country on solid footing. We had a man as president who was the worst administration, worst president in the history of our country. We've had some bad ones, but he's the worst ever. What he did at our border can never be forgotten. 25 million people allowed to pour into our country, all unchecked, unvetted, murderers, gang leaders, gangsters, people that you don't want in our country under any means, terrorists. We have many terrorists in our country, and we're watching them. Tom Homan, by the way, is doing a phenomenal job. Christine Noem is doing a phenomenal job. We had last week, it was reported, nobody, not one, even I don't know if I believe that number, but it's done, the numbers are done by liberals, so they said, did you know that? They said we had nobody, zero, cross our border. It's the first time that ever happened. Zero. Did you hear that? It's crazy. But we have people from mental institutions, insane asylums even. That's a mental institution on steroids, essentially. But we had people coming into our country. We can't have them. And we have to get them out. But we can never forgive this administration this past. And I'm okay with administrations. I mean, I can go through a Democrat administration, say, hey, look, they worked hard, they tried hard. But the things that they did to this country, we can never ever forget it. From the rigged elections to the border, to the transgender for everybody, from men playing in women's sport. You ever take a look at some of these records? There was a long distance race, a marathon, where they had a great female runner, a number of them, but they had one in particular, and they had just an average male runner who had transitioned. He won the race at the end of the day by 5 hours and 14 minutes. They waited for 5 hours. The weightlifting records are better, though. The weightlifting records are better, you know, the way they took a record that hasn't been broken for 18 years. 18 years. And, you know, they'd add a quarter of an ounce on each side of the barbell. And they just, a little tiny piece of stuff. She'd go up and she couldn't get it. And this guy comes along. Have you lifted before? Yes, at a low level. He was a low level lifter as a man. But transitioned. He goes up to that thing. Bing, 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 bing. Could have done it all day long. Broke the record by 119 pounds. The whole thing is crazy. The swimming records are pretty good too. You got to see that. I told a story. You had this great group of young ladies, and they grew up with each other because, you know, they sort of swam at the top level. And they were swimming, and one girl was seriously injured. She looked left, and she saw the same girl she grew up with, Kelly in California. Same girls, you know, at a young age, they sort of rise to the top. She looked to the right, she saw the same girls, but there was this giant standing right next to her. And he had transitioned, you probably heard this, he had transitioned And she never seen her before. And when the race was started, he blew by her so fast that she suffered massive windburn. They had to take her. And he got out of the race and he went and had a little lunch, and then he came back and watched the rest of the young ladies finish up. The whole thing is crazy, and it's so demeaning to women. It's so demeaning to women, but it is what it is. But what they did to this country, and we ended all of that, as you probably know. We ended the woke. The woke stuff is no longer in favor. But we're doing fantastically. Wages for blue-collar workers have surged by the most in over 60 years. Gas prices have reached the lowest level in 5 decades. Actually, we're going to see some really good numbers where, drill baby drill, I got to make sure that people can afford to produce the gas, but the gas has gone to the lowest level in decades, and you're seeing $1.99, $1.98, and I saw $1.95 at certain states, not California, because every time it goes down, they add taxes onto it. You're at $6, $7, they just add taxes. All they do is they keep adding taxes. Terrible governor, doesn't know what he's doing. He may be a candidate, but if you go by success, you can't have him be a candidate. And on Friday, it was announced that the United States Treasury ran a budget surplus. Is that true, Scott? In June, for the first time in many, many decades. I didn't know that. That's a good one, too. I'm going to have to put that in my repertoire, Scott. But the biggest victory of all came 10 days ago when I signed the one big, beautiful bill into law. Right? And just as I promised, we did something that was amazing. Everybody was against it. I wanted it.
Everyone said I wouldn't find a quality teaching degree online. Everyone except WGU. Their School of Education offers over 30 respected education degrees and has the same accreditations as schools charging much more. Learn more and apply today.
Airheads. The essence of driving is gripping the road, keeping and responding with precision. A brand by Hankook. A tire that fits Laufin.
Reba here, back to tell you about Realtor.com. With over 500,000 new listings monthly, you can find your dream home today. Well, isn't that coast? So work with number one and make it real with Realtor.com.
I know Scott and Howard liked the idea of it too, but it was very risky because they've never done anything like it in terms of this. It's the biggest bill ever passed, of its kind ever passed, by far. And they were going to cut it into 2, 3, or even as many as 7 bills. And I said, the problem is that in the one big bill, everybody gets something. When you cut it into 7s, there are 4 or 5 of them, or 3 of them, right, Kevin? That you get nothing. All they're going to do is fight it. You'll never get them passed. And so we went with it. I was on a show called Deface the Nation. Have you heard of it? They're so bad. They're so bad. These people, they're so average. But I was on the show Deface the Nation. Ladies and gentlemen, President Donald J. Trump on Deface the Nation. No, but they're all so bad. But we were on the show, and she said to me a question. She said, what would you call this bill? Would you want to have it called One Big Beautiful, or would you rather see it? I said, what I want is one great, big, beautiful bill. And Speaker Mike Johnson, John Thune, they were watching, and they said, what a great name for the bill. We actually ended up calling it that. We took the great out. I actually liked it even better. One great, big, beautiful. But they said, let's do a little bit of a low key. But we got to pass. But we got to pass because there's something for everybody. And there are things that people don't like, but you need them for the country. You have to do some things that are great for the country, but they wouldn't necessarily get the votes. and we got the votes. Think of it, not one Democrat vote. All the goodies that we got, not one Democrat voted in either the Senate or the House. And we're talking about tax cuts and business, I mean, so many different things that are so good, right? Not one Democrat vote went with us, not one. So we had to get almost every, in the House we got 218 to 2. Think of that, 218 to 2. Nobody could do that. It's never been done. And that says, you know, and we have Rand Paul Jr., who's a guy from, we call him Rand Paul Jr. because he always votes no. A guy named Massey, always votes no. We had another guy who I helped very, very strongly, helped him with a very personal situation, got him through it. And he voted no. I said, thank you very much, I appreciate it. And then we went to the Senate, and you had, of course, Rand Paul, who always votes no. They call him just say no. I think they think it's, no, I think and, you know, I got him elected. I had to go to Kentucky twice to do rallies to get him elected twice. But they forget, a lot of politicians forget. Then we had a couple of others, Susan Collins, she's another one, just say no. She was brutal, brutal. And we had some people tell us, I guess, it was a no, right? He was a no. And they said he was brave. He said no to the president, but he resigned the following morning. So anyway, that was terrible, I thought. But we couldn't lose more than 3, and we had 3 that said no. And so we won that 50 to 3, so it's pretty good. And the senator came over to me and said, I can't believe you won the House. Great guy, this guy, the senator, Eric Schmidt, who's done a great job. He said, I can't believe you won the House. I said, actually, he says, remember 218 to 2. We needed 3, so we could have lost 3. We actually only lost 2. He said, no, actually, the Senate was tougher than the House. That question is asked to me, who was tougher? I'd say the Senate was tougher, actually, amazingly. It should have been. We had a slightly bigger margin in the Senate proportionally, but it was brutal. It was, they said, sir, we have 12 hard no's. You know, hard no is not recoverable, right? This was at 2:30 in the morning. Mike Johnson called up. It could be 20, but it's at least 12. So, could you call them, sir? And I said, what time? I said, 2:30 in the morning. And we have to win, right? We can never give up. The people in this room, right? You never gave up. Mike supported right from day one. And her husband with a bad damn back, right? How's his back? Is he okay? Every time I see him, he's got a bad back. But he's got a lot of cash, so. A lot. He's got a lot of cash. But no, they're great people. Thank you very much. I do appreciate it. You were there right at the beginning, you know? Always was there. But we have, so we have a situation where we call up these people at 2:30 in the morning, and I call up, I got along with them all great. I liked them. But they're tough, you know, they're congressmen. When you're a congressman for 20 years or you're a senator for years, you're smart and you're a survivor because you go through all sorts of hell. But I called up Congressman. I said, Jim, hi, Jim, how are you doing? He said, fine, sir. I said, family's good, yeah? He said, sir, you have my vote. I never said what I was going about. I said, I do, thank you very much, but how do you know what I'm calling you about? Well, he said, sir, I've been your friend for 2.5 years. You've never called me during normal hours. So I assume that if you're calling me at 2:30 in the morning, you're not calling me to ask me how's the family doing. I said, yeah. So, pretty good. So I called up everyone, I think everyone with the exception of one I had to speak a little bit, but I call up, sir, you have my vote. Thank you. Sir, you have my vote. Think of that. And we got 12 votes in a matter of, I called back 20 minutes later, I said, you got all the votes. That's spirit, right? That's spirit. They wanted to maybe hear, they wanted to have a little love. You know, the sad part is that some of the best people are the people that don't get any publicity because they go with something because it's good. So a guy like some of the people I'm talking about, but some of the people where you didn't even have to call, they vote yes, 100%. You don't have to waste any time with them. You don't have to beg them, come on, you can do it, come on, let's have lunch, let's have dinner. And then you have other guys that want you to suffer. I mean, some of these people that I just mentioned, whose names I just mentioned, you gotta go through hell. And the ones that are really good, and they love the country, and they're doing right. I mean, what's the alternative? You know, the alternative here, you're getting the biggest tax cut in history, and with the Democrats, you're gonna have the biggest tax increase in history. Now, we could go into 100 other details, they're equally as crazy. So I said, so what's the difference? So you're gonna say no, and you're gonna have the biggest tax cut in history this way, and you're gonna have the biggest tax increase the other way, and you'll probably end up in a depression, because if you ever did that, it would be a shock to the whole world. That's what happened in 1929. I said, so you're gonna vote for the other side? Well, sure, I'll do what's really appropriate, you know, the losers. But you have that. Really, they're grandstanders, you know, you have grandstanders, and you have in every business. And the Democrat has far fewer. They're grandstanders, but you know, the one thing about them, they have bad policy. They're evil people in many ways, but they stick together. You don't have it where you don't have, I don't want to use too many names, but you don't have a Mitt Romney in the midst who makes you suffer. You don't have some of the people that I mentioned who make it so hard. They make it so hard. And the alternative is one of two things. You can either get all these things and make the economy strong, or you're going to literally have perhaps a depression where you people so rich, so beautiful, so nice to look at, will be totally busted. And let's see how long your wife stays with you. You're beautiful. She'll stay with you for about 3 weeks and she'll say, darling, I can't take it anymore. I can't take it anymore, darling, I'm leaving you. I said to one guy, he's a very, very unattractive man, but he's smart. And he's rich, and I said, you better hope we get this thing passed, because your wife will be gone within about 2 minutes. He said, you're right. But, so we had a tremendous success, and it gives you the biggest tax cut in American history, the largest spending cut in American history, and the largest border security investment of all time. And again, we're doing great on the border. I almost say, why do we need it? We have such good numbers, but you need it. Ultimately, you're going to need it. I built hundreds of miles of border wall. Without that, you could have never had the, you know, the results that we had. But to lift up the American family, we increased the child tax credit and made school permanent. We made it all permanent, the school choice. And we expanded school choice, and for every newborn child, we created what's called the Trump accounts. And this was Michael Dell. I don't know if Michael Dell's here, but Michael Dell, well, you tell him I mentioned his name, because it's true. He would call me for 3-4 years. I didn't know Michael. I just know he's a great success story and a great guy. That's all he talked about, was the account where you put $1,000, and as a baby is born, $1,000 into an account, and you let it be invested by, I guess you pick out some good money, determinant or fund or index. And I guess at a certain age, like when they're 30, goes earlier than that, but when they're 30, they're supposed to have like $75,000. That would have a huge impact on their lives. And it could even be more than that. So that passed. And you know, it's funny, that was one of the easiest things we had to get passed. Can you believe it? I thought, so many people loved it. They actually called it the Trump accounts. And I didn't fight for that name, right? I didn't fight for that. I said, that's a very great honor. But Michael Dell was amazing. That's what he said he's going to invest billions of dollars doing it for children. He's going to put a lot of his money into it. But even more importantly than the economic success, we're restoring the spirit of our country. America is once again an optimistic nation. We were so down. It was depressing. We were so down. That's why I ran again. I got cheated. They rigged the election. But I said, you know, if I didn't think I won, I would have never run. Because it's like a poll, right? You lose, you lose. It's worse than a poll. But I saw the lack of spirit in this country for 4 years. It was a dark, horrible place. And for people of religion who were arresting your pastors, they were arresting, if you went to church and you had a service outside, and the reason outside, because you had the COVID, and you could go outside. They'd arrest everybody for even having the service. I'll tell you, religion took a big hit because of the way they treated all of us. And we now have a confident nation, an optimistic nation, and we have one nation under God, and we'll always keep that term. And we're bringing back, very importantly, and not just evangelicals or Protestants or this, all religions, we're bringing them back into our country. As president, I've ended the radical left war on faith, and we're once again protecting religious freedom like never before in our country. We're protecting it like never before. We're getting rid of the Johnson Amendment that didn't let the pastors and ministers and everybody speak about politics. Now you're able to speak about politics, Paula. You can speak about, you can say, I don't like that guy, and they don't take away your tax exempt status. You know, they take away tax exempt, and I'll tell you, remember when that started? It was at the meeting room before I ran, 2015, a year before the election, and I was with 50 faith leaders. They were great, very well-known people, mostly Protestant, but you had rabbis, you had an imam, 2 imams, and we were talking, and I said, I'd love to have your endorsement. And they looked at me like, what? I'd love to have your endorsement. We have such respect for you, and you control it, really very powerful. And they looked at me, they didn't say anything. Do you remember that? And I said, what's wrong with these people? I didn't know about the Johnson Amendment. Don't forget, I never did this stuff before. You know, it wasn't like I ran. I was on the other side. I was on the same side as you. You write contributions to people that you like. But I never ran, so I didn't know about the Johnson Amendment. And I called Paula and Jenny aside. I said, can I ask you, when I said I want your, support, your political support and endorsement, they looked at me very weird. What's going on? Well, sir, there's a thing called the Johnson Amendment. And if they even speak about anything having to do with politics, they will immediately take away their tax-exempt status. And if they lose the tax-exempt status in your world, that means you might as well close up your church. I said, you gotta be kidding. So I can't really, and I told them, we had another meeting a couple of months later, and I said, you people in theory are the most powerful people. You're more powerful than man or woman because we have more than 50, let's assume men and women are 50-50, but you have 80% between all the different religions. I said, you have more power than anybody, but you're not allowed to use your power. I said, we're going to get rid of that because people want to hear what you have to say more than anybody else, pretty much. And we did get rid of it, and we launched something that's great. And now you see people, if they like somebody, they're able to talk about that somebody for office, right, Jenny? We're able to talk about a certain politician that has your values and likes your religion. It's okay. And we got rid of that. Was Lyndon Johnson, a very powerful guy. And he had a problem with a pastor, I think in Houston. And the pastor was not a fan of his, and he put the clamps on the guy. He really did. Amazing, actually. And we opened it up. I looked at him, and we're up at 68 stories in the air at Trump Tower, and in this beautiful conference room. I look down, and I see people walking up and down the street. He said, that means that that person walking up and down the street, any one of them have more power than you do, because you're not allowed to even talk about it. You were even afraid to talk about it. But they're not afraid any longer, and I think they appreciate it. As president, I've ended the radical left war on faith, and we're once again protecting religious freedom instead of destroying it. And God is once again welcomed back into our public square. Very important. And I stopped the Biden administration's persecutions of Christians and pro-life activists. They would put people in jail if they even uttered the word. And, well, look at me. I mean, look what happened to me. I was under investigation more than the late, great Alphonse Capone. Think of it. Al Capone would kill people for dinner. If he left the room and he didn't like him, he'd have him shot, killed, buried under a building someplace as part of the foundation of a building. They were all over the place. And I said I had more time under investigation than the legendary Alphonse Capone, or probably anybody else. I had but I had a lot of good people with me, and most importantly, I had the base with me at a level that it actually became stronger. The one thing I did that was very helpful, I was indicted 5 times. Indicted. That wasn't a word that was in my father's looking down, my mother's looking down. That my son's not supposed to be indicted. I got indicted 5 times, impeached 2 times. All bullshit, right? All terrible stuff. And I got impeached for making a perfect phone call. Good luck, congratulations. I had a guy come up to me, a secretary of energy from before. Sir, could you call up, of all people, President Zelensky? And I called him. I actually held up, he must have come 10 times. Please, sir. It's because they wanted to do business or something, oil and gas. Who the hell knows what they wanted? Couldn't imagine what they wanted, but they wanted, would you call up President Zelensky? And I did. When I finally got him, I said, congratulations on your win. He had just won. This is early in the process. Should have never been, that war should have never taken place, by the way. If the election weren't rigged, that war would never be happening right now. Millions of people being killed. That war would never be happening. But would you call up? So I say, hello, President, how are we doing? Everything good? Good. Congratulations on your big victory. Wonderful job. Great, great, great. Hang up, that's it. I get indicted for making a phone call. I told that secretary, who wasn't the smartest bulb, he wasn't Rick Perry. You don't want him on your debate team, let me put it that way. Rick, you're not going to be on my debate team, Rick. But he's the one that asked me to do it, Rick Perry. And I said, thanks, Rick, that was a wonderful suggestion. I just got indicted over your stupid call. This is what we have to put up with, right? This is what we have to do. We have to put up with things. But it's been an amazing
Your job depends on reliable tools. That's why Harbor Freight is committed to offering quality tools to pros like yourself at a fraction price. Stop by today and put us to the test. Harbor Freight, your pro tools destination.
It's been an amazing period of time, and we've straightened out so many bad things in this country. I created a Presidential Commission on Religious Liberty and established the Department of Justice Task Force to eradicate anti-Christian bias, because you have a very big anti-Christian bias that you don't think about and you don't hear about. I established the White House Faith Office to defend and represent people of all faiths. It's located in the White House. You've never had an office. You've never had that. And Jenny and Paul are there all the time, but we have it in the White House, so people can call up and complain, or they can call up and say, you're doing a great job, whatever. But we have it actually in the White House. Nobody's ever done that. We restored the fundamental principle that God created two genders, male and female. That was a tough one. And we're defending parents' rights, where the parents' rights have been taken away from them in schools. You look at some of these school boards, it's like they're brutal dictatorships, and we brought it all back. The parents have the control now. And last Monday, we effectively eliminated the infamous, as I said, Johnson Amendment, such a big deal, and various other amendments and things that really took away your free speech. That's what they've done. They've taken away free speech. I also want to recognize the incredible contribution of our great First Lady, Melania, and she says hello. And Melania did the Be Best initiative in supporting children in our foster care system. She visits a lot of children, a lot. Yesterday we went to the game, and the soccer game, I don't know if you saw it in the Meadowlands, was incredible. And she's always thinking about the children that have a hard time in helping America's young people reach their fullest potential. And it's remarkable to think that it was only 1 year ago this week that my time on earth nearly ended. And if you look at that, God was with me, because it's something that, in theory, I should not be with you today. Well, I believe that, and I believe it, that my life was saved by God to really make America great again. I really believe that. I think I have a son, he's a great shooter, like a championship shooter. Don and Eric is a great shooter, both of them. But they said that at that distance with that gun, he didn't have a chance. And we turned the head at the right time, didn't we? Huh? We turned the head at the right time. So some people say it was lucky, and some people say something else. I say something else. I think God helped us. So I always believed in giving back to this nation, a nation that we love so much, and I know that everyone lives by that same sacred principle. The people in this room do, I can tell you. I hate when I see complainers, you know, people that complain and they don't do anything about it. Like in many cases, the media, not all of the media. I must have something because we won in Atlanta. I think if we won every swing state, we won by millions of votes. We won the popular vote. We won there's a district vote that's very interesting. It's where the whole map looks red for a Republican, by the way. But the whole map came out, I think it was 2,750 to 505. Think of that. This broke it into little districts, little areas. We had an unbelievable election, and so I don't know. Somebody said, yeah, how do you win without the press? But we have a hidden press, and the real hidden press and the hidden vote is the people and the word of mouth. Word of mouth is more important than the press, and they see what we do and they see how we do it. I want to thank all of you and your great communities, and it's a blessing to our country that you're here, and a blessing to our country that you become so successful and so great. And people look up to you, have no idea. You don't know. We take things for granted. You don't know. The people in this room are amazing. I even, looking at that list, I really said, that's something great. And you're all believers. I think, Paula, you wouldn't have invited people that, not a lot of, is there an atheist in the room? Any atheists? I don't think so. I wouldn't want to raise my hand if I were. I'd be in big trouble. No, you invited all people that are outstanding in faith and success, and it's a very noble group, but it's because of the patriotism and goodwill of citizens like you that America remains strong and faithful and free. And together we're going to continue the fight for Judeo-Christian values of our founding fathers. We'll grow our economy, we'll defend our sovereignty, we'll protect our children. When you look at the job we did, I was just thinking because President Putin said it to me, and other leaders said it to me, when they looked at those B-2s go in, think of it, they flew for 37 hours straight. We had 52 tankers, the gasoline tankers, and they rode along with them at different aspects, and they refueled, and not a screw was broken, not a net, not a mark was on those planes. Every engine was perfect. When they landed, they were just as good as when they took off. Think of that, 37 hours and about 40 minutes through a very rough territory. And those machines worked incredibly well, and literally not a problem. And when I honored the flyers, we did it last week, I also honored the mechanics, the people that took care of those machines. And I said it's equally important. And you compare that same country, you compare that with what happened with Jimmy Carter. It was a sad situation. The helicopters were coming down and they were crashing, and the men were all over the place trying to get the hell out of there. It turned out to be a hostage situation and horrible thing. And probably it was one of the things that cost them the election, certainly. But when you think of that and you see this was, in terms of perfection, they think it was a perfect military. We sent the planes to Guam. Everybody thought we were flying to Guam. And they said, oh, they're going to Guam. Well, Guam's out of the way. And at the same time, we had some others go in a different direction. And I watched horrible CNN. You know, you have to watch sometimes your opposition, and they are opposition. And I saw that they had basically the plans of when we're going in, when we would be entering Iranian oil airspace. And I said, you know, that's weird. And I called the General, Raisin Kane, he's fantastic. I said, General, and Pete Hegseth, I said, I'm watching newscasts where they're saying what time you're taking off tomorrow and what time we're going to be entering the very dangerous airspace, the worst air space anywhere there is, anywhere that in the world. I said, what do you think? Sir, we'll be fine. We blow them away, we'll be fine. Because we know they want those B-2s with 7, and they were surrounded by a lot of great planes. F-22s, the most beautiful plane ever built. The fighter jet, F-35s, had a lot of different planes going with them. I said, but wouldn't the surprise be better? Yeah, it would be better. I said, well, then let me cancel it, and let's make it at a different time. So the day before, you know, I canceled it. And I said, I'm canceling it. We'll do it sometime within the next 2, maybe 3 weeks, but I'm canceling it. And then I had a meeting, and I said, I have an idea, because I got slightly big coverage, to put it mildly. So everyone knew it was being canceled. I said, let's leave at the exact same time we were supposed to leave, the following day. And we took off, and that's when the planes went out to Guam and this and that, and we took off. And that was the only time, and they said it, that was the only time they knew we wouldn't be coming in, was the exact same time that I can. I said, let's do something. And they flew in, and they were stealth, incredible planes, they were stealth. And they hit every bomb, hit their mark, every single bomb hit the mark. It was unbelievable how they did it. And then they said, skedaddle. Skedaddle means get the hell out of there. They had to get out of that airspace. But it was an amazing thing, and I think it was so great for our country in so many different ways. You know, you see so many incompetent people, like the way we left Afghanistan with Milley and all these incompetent, stupid people. And Biden, I mean, it was him. Leave everything behind, leave jets behind. I said to Billy, I said, so you mean to tell me, because I was going to leave. We would have left earlier than them, but we were going to leave with dignity and strength. I said to Billy, you mean you want to leave a jet fighter behind? Sure, it's cheaper if we do that. I said, wait a minute, give me a tank of gas and I'll fly it to Pakistan, or I'll fly it to someplace, or I'll fly it back home. Why is it cheaper? Oh, it's just cheaper. That's when I realized the guy was grossly incompetent, okay? He's telling me it's cheaper to leave a plane than this, that planes cost $150 million apiece. Let's leave it, sir, it's just great. And they did, they left all, you know, I was taking everything, but they left it behind. But when you look at what happened and compare that to what we have now, we have a real great machine. I rebuilt the military my first term, and we left some of it to Afghanistan and the Taliban, and they have their parades. I hate those parades. Every year they have a parade wheeling down our equipment on some very unattractive street. That's, you know, their Fifth Avenue. They show our equipment going down. Just, it's getting older and older, but I hate to see it. But we're going to be working together to protect our children, and with the grace of God and blessing of Providence, we will lead our country to heights that it's never seen before. I think we're going to be more successful in many ways, but I think we're going to be more successful than we've ever been. And I do think this, if we didn't catch it, if we would have lost this election, our country was finished. I think it was that we were run by incompetent people. We were run by an auto pen that nobody knows who used it. I think it's one of the biggest scandals in the history of our country. We were run by an auto pen. Nobody has any idea who used it, including Biden. He doesn't know. Saw that interview yesterday. He knew nothing. So it's a very terrible, against an evil group of people, and they're very smart, very smart. He's not, but they are. They took over the Oval Office. They actually took over the Oval Office. We could never let a thing like that happen again. So Paul, I want to thank you very much, and I want to thank Jenny, and most importantly, I want to thank the people in this room. You really are incredible people, an inspiration to our country. And I know you don't know that, you don't think it because you're too busy working, but you are. You're a great inspiration to young people that want to be just like you when they grow up. And thank you very much for being here, and it's a great honor. And Paul, I think you're going to say a prayer. I'll stay with you while you say your prayer, okay? Yeah, thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Preston. You guys may be seated for just a moment. And he is our greatest champion of faith of any president that the United States of America has ever had. We are deeply grateful for that. We are very honored that you are all here with us at the White House, and where faith is not sidelined, but has a seat at the table. And as we gather today as leaders of industry, of vision, of faith, I believe that today is going to be very enlightened, and I'm so overwhelmed. We're getting ready to worship and pray, and to just think that prayer, worship, and doing good works is welcome back into the White House. President Trump is a historic and a bold move established the White House Faith Office to recognize some simple truths, that America is strongest when faith is engaged and not silenced, when believers are activated and they are not isolated. This administration understands that people who are of faith, who are entrusted with wealth and influence as you are essential to building a stronger, freer, and a more compassionate nation. You're more than just CEOs and business leaders and entrepreneurs. You're stewards on divine assignment, builders of legacy, and vessels of impact. You've been called by God to his kingdom for such a time as this. And together we are witnessing something absolutely remarkable. More has been accomplished by this administration in the past 5 months than in the last several decades. And that is due to the leadership of President Trump, his administration, and the great team he has assembled. America's spiritual and moral foundations have been restored, and it's only the beginning. Today's not just a luncheon. It is a moment of divine alignment, a commissioning. And we believe that God is raising up business leaders who don't separate faith from enterprise, but who see their platforms and their pulpits as their businesses and instruments for eternal impact. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we come before you with great reverence and expectation. Your word declares in Isaiah chapter 43, verse 19, "Behold, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it?" Lord, we do perceive it. We see the stirring of your hands, reviving hearts, reforming systems, raising up leaders at this very hour. We thank you for our great president, President Trump, for his life, his courage, his clarity, and unwavering defense of faith and freedom. May your wisdom guide him and your protection always surround him, according to your word that does not return void. In Psalm 89:21, that you say, "My hand will sustain him, and surely my arm will strengthen him." We bless every person in this room, those who've entrusted this wealth, strategy, and vision to, according to 1 Timothy 6, that you tell us, do not put our hope in riches, but be rich in good works, generous and ready to share. So they are your Josephs in Egypt, the wise stewards in famine. They are your Daniels in Babylon, the uncompromising voice, and your Lydia in Philippi, the ones who expanded the kingdom. Let this be more than a meeting. Let it be a movement where we come together and converge to bless communities, care for others, and reach nations, empowered by your purpose and your grace. Unite us with the common cause to use our time and talent. For thy kingdom come, thy will be done in the earth as it is in heaven. In the mighty matchless name of Jesus, we pray these things and come in agreement. Bless this food and bless everyone. And everybody said, amen. And by the way, it is Secretary Howard Lutnick's birthday, so I'll wish him a very happy birthday. We are so grateful for your time, President, and my husband John's going to worship. At any time that you have to go, we know that you have spent more than enough time, and you are running the country exceptionally for us, and we are all so grateful. So he will stay as long as possible, but will you let President know how much we love and appreciate him?
Not all meals are created equal. For instance, breakfast has the spicy egg McMuffin for a limited time, and lunch doesn't. McDonald's breakfast comes first. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we worked hard. It's a very important act, the Genius Act. They named it after me, and I want to thank you. I want to thank you. This is a hell of an act. You know, I did something very unusual. I said, this has been something, a lot of people thought it was impossible, some of the things that have been done.
And of course, the great big, I added the word great, the great big beautiful bill, that was something that nobody thought possible. They thought it would be in anywhere from 7 to maybe 3, I'll go the opposite direction, but 3 to 7 different bills, and we said, let's just put it in one, because this way there's something for everyone, and there really is, there's a lot of things for everyone. And when we get the word out how great that is for every single person in this country virtually, and all they have is a soundbite, death. You know what their soundbite is? Death. Aren't they nice, Death? They are the most incompetent people. They've lost their confidence. They've lost everything, if you think about it. But Jasmine Crockett is on her way. She's on her way. She's the new star of the Democrat Party, Jasmine Crockett. They're in big trouble. But I have to tell you, that was great, and this was great. And I'm so tired of making phone calls at 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, getting calls from our great speaker. Sir, we have 12 hard no's. They say, Mike, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. We have 12 hard no's. The good news is I call up, hello, Jim, how are you? Sir, you have my vote. Boom. Sir, you have my vote. I really they just want a little love. Unfortunately, it's always the same 12 people. It's 5 senators and it's 12 congressmen. And I actually said to John Thune and I said to Mike, I said, listen, I want to have a party, but not to those people that I have to speak to endlessly every time. And they're wonderful because they always seem to come through, other than a couple. Rand Paul Jr. from Congress and Rand Paul from, other than a few people. But I said, I want to have them over. We're going to have a party for everybody in Congress, everyone in Congress except 12. We're going to have, and Mike is down. I'll tell you what, Tom is definitely coming. The whole group. Where are those 12 people? They're the only people I don't see. We could do it today. We don't have to vote. And I would say of the 53 senators, 48, we're going to have 48 in here. You won't even have to come to that one. But these are the greatest people because they always vote yes, and we don't have to go crazy. You trust us, we trust you. That has been a very special group of people. We really do. I mean, 96% phenomenal. And 5% extremely difficult. Do you agree with that? But they get there, most of them, not all of them. Those are the ones we really don't like. But I want to thank you all for being here. This is really a big day. This afternoon, we take a giant step to cement American dominance of global finance and crypto technology as we sign the landmark Genius Act into law. So congratulations to everybody. This is a big deal. We've come a long way since the Biden administration, when they had no idea what you were all talking about, and half of you were under arrest for no reason whatsoever. True, for no reason. And we want to have it, not China. China wasn't actually happy. They were watching this. They like it. And we've got this. We've got AI. We've got a lot of great ones happening. And this is a very big thing. And I want to thank the bill's author, Senator Bill Hagerty, a very good friend of mine. Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Bill. He's a great guy. He's a great guy. He's a very handsome guy. Looks great. He's got the whole package. But you know, I got to know him. He was ambassador to Japan, and we had a little problem with Japan on trade. But he was my ambassador to Japan, and I went to Japan, and he is speaking fluently Japanese. I said, "Did you learn it as a child?" No, I just learned it over the last 4 or 5 months. I said, "You learned Japanese? Maybe the single hardest language to learn. It's actually breathing." Rather than, it's breathing. I'm not going to imitate it because we'll end up with a big story. I don't want that. But he spoke totally fluent Japanese. I said, that's very impressive. And he was introducing me to Mr. Honda. I said, oh, are you in the car business? And he goes, yes. I said, you're a very rich man. And then he said, Mr. Toyota, right? Toyota. And I said, what business are you in? Let me guess. He said, cars. He was my interpreter, and I was so impressed. and I was getting ready to leave. He said, "Sir, I'd like to run for the United States Senate." I said, "Where are you from?" He said, "Tennessee." I said, "Well, I love Tennessee, but do they know you there?" "No, but if you endorse me, I'll win, right?" And I endorsed him, and he took a 48-point lead. And they didn't know who the hell he was. And he's turned out to be a great senator. Now they all know who you are. Yes, so you are. You're fantastic, and we thank you. And you, just the fact that you're doing this and you understand this is a complicated world, and you understand it, Bill. So you've been great. Thank you very much. We're also pleased to be joined by our great Vice President, J.D. Vance. J.D., thank you very much. Good job. And he's been up speaking late at night on the phone. I said, "J.D., how about you taking 3 or 4 of these people, please? Because 3 or 4 I cannot speak to. I just can't." And he'd take them and he'd come through, right, J.D.? Also, Speaker Mike Johnson. He is unbelievable. He's an unbelievable. I mean, if you go by what we're doing, if you keep at this pace, you can't keep it up for another 200 days. But I will tell you this, if you keep up this pace for another week, you go down as the greatest speaker in the House in history. So, what more? What more? Who needs Tip O'Neill? Who needs Tip O'Neill? He's better looking than Tip O'Neill, too. But, no, he's been going at a fervent pace. Would you say this, right? Your wife probably says, "You are crazy." You've been aging beautifully in front. He's an amazing speaker, a great leader, and everybody likes him and respects him, and that's why we're with a very small majority, like 3. We had a time when we were 1. Remember? We said we're 1 heart attack away from losing the House. Then we won a couple of seats and a couple of others. Now we have 7, maybe. Maybe if we're lucky, 7. But we win with, nobody's ever done, I don't think anyone's ever done this before, to win with those small. We had a little help from Tom, too, right? And a lot of other people. I want to introduce also Secretary Howard Lutnick, who's been fantastic. You have done a great job, Howard. We've got trade deals coming out of our ears, right? We got so many trade deals, the roll call, and so many, and I really mean this too. It's like, how do you deal with so many? But, I always say when we send out the paper, that was a deal. They don't want the fake news doesn't want to hear that. When I send out the paper that you're paying 35 or 40% tariff, that's a deal. Then they'll call and see if they can make a little bit different kind of a deal, like opening up their country to trade. In some cases, they've never been open, but we're doing well, and we have a couple of big ones to announce pretty soon, right? You can almost do it today. Maybe we'll say it, maybe later on we'll do it. Senator Bernie Moreno, a great victory. Bernie had great victory. A great victory. That was one of the truly tough races. A lot of people weren't sure anybody could win that seat, and you won it in easy fashion, right? We won it together, what do you think of it? But you won it in easy fashion. You did a great job. Great guy. House Majority Whip. This is a great leader, Tom Emmer, a great politician and leader. Really good. And I like his wife even better. His wife is, she's the boss, but you are married to a fantastic woman, huh? And he knows that, and he likes hearing it, because some people don't, they say, "Sir, could you please stop saying that my wife is better than me, sir?" Those are guys that don't usually end up with a good marriage, He's got a great marriage. So thank you, Tom. You really are a fantastic leader and representative. And Representatives Troy Downing, French Hill. Where's French Hill? Where is French? You have been so great. Thank you, French. I spoke to him a little late when he was walking down the hall and said, "French." He said, "I'm there, sir. You look great guy. Everyone respects you, French. You know that." Bill Heisinger. Bill, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Good job. Dan Muser, I thought he was going to become the next governor of Pennsylvania, but he likes Congress better, I guess, huh? So, but I think you're terrific, and, I would have always been behind you, that I can tell you. Tim Moore. Tim, thank you, Tim. John Rose. John? Hi, John, thanks. Good job. Brian Stile. Brian, stop. Still young? Still nice and young, that's good. GT Thompson, GT. Thank you. Andy Barr, good friend of all of ours. Thank you, Andy. Monica De La Cruz. Monica, she's here someplace. Thank you, Monica. Thank you, Monica. Mike Haridopoulos. Mike, thank you, Mike. Look good. Mike Lawler, Mr. Stolt. Well, it should guarantee your district. I mean, you worked hard for New York, right? And you're on television, I'm on television, so this should be good for a couple of points. But without you and your couple of friends from New York, that wouldn't have happened. That was not easy, right? Congratulations, great job. Anna Paulina Luna. Anna was so great. I don't, even if she's here or not here, I want to tell you that she has been so great and worked so hard to make sure we got it approved. Ralph Norman. Ralph? Ralph? What happened to Ralph? Nick Begich. Nick, thank you, Nick. Good job. Good job. Good votes. I just saw a great poll on you, huh? Very good. Congratulations, Nick. Andy Ogles. Andy, who's a terrific friend. Beth Van Dyne. Beth, thank you, Beth. Great job. Thank you. Thank you very much for the great support. Roger Williams, a great baseball player, who also had to take a bullet, unfortunately, but he is a great guy. He was involved in that whole catastrophe, but he's fantastic and has been from day one, along with a lot of other people that I won't call out because I have no idea where the hell you are. I think I saw Jason here somewhere. Where's Jason? Oh, it's lucky I called him. Ooh, it's lucky. They didn't put your name because I invited you at the last moment, right? He was over there doing some business in the White House. But you've been incredible in your position. Nobody knows more about taxes and finance than you do, so we appreciate it, right? Is that true, Howard? It's true. Thanks, Jason. Great job. And you'll help out with that other matter. You make him so strong and powerful, right? Along with Deputy Secretary of Treasury, Michael Faulkender. Where's Michael? Good, Michael. How are you? Good. You'll help out over there, okay? And Ambassador Ken Howry. Ambassador. Thank you, Ken. Great job, Ken. I also want to recognize some of the countless industry leaders here today, including Brian Armstrong of Coinbase. You've done a good job, Brian. That's a big deal. Dave Ripley of Kraken. Okay. Thank you, Dave. Jeremy Allaire of Circle. It's a big day. Good job. Good job, Jeremy. Paolo Ardino of Tether. Paolo, thank you, Paolo. Ryan McInerney of Visa. That's a good company. Thank you. Chris Pavlovsky of Rumble. Chris, what happened to your location, Chris? You're always a front row guy. You're just being nice today, I think. How's Rumble doing? Good? Good. If Rumble's doing good, that means Truth is doing good. Truth. That's good. You're doing a great job. Thank you, Chris, very much. Vlad Tenev of Robinhood. Vlad, thank you, Vlad. Thank you, Vlad. Good. Tyler and Cameron Winklevoss. These are two smart, handsome guys. They got the whole package. They're of Gemini, but they have the whole pack. There are a lot of things, actually, but Gemini's just the one for today, right? They've got the whole, they've got the look, they've got the genius, got plenty of cash, and it's great that you're on our side. You guys are great. I can never tell them apart, but their mother can. I asked, can your mother tell you apart? And the answer is yes. Easily, or is it tough for her? Easily, I figure. Good. You guys have been great. Thank you very much. Great to be with you. Let me say the entire crypto community, for years, you were mocked and dismissed and counted out. You were counted out as little as a year and a half ago. But this signing is a massive validation. And even before this signing, over the last year and a half, I think your stuff has gone up more than any stock, or just about more. A couple of stocks that were pretty good, I will say, but you have certainly as an industry gone up more than anybody. Nobody's gained the respect in such a short period of time. But this signing is a massive validation of your hard work and your pioneering spirit and your ability to never give up. Because a lot of people would have given up 2-3 years ago. So I want to thank you for contributing to the incredible strength of America. This is going to make it stronger, and congratulations on this incredible achievement. You've made our dollar look really good and strong and powerful. It's good for the dollar and it's good for the country. And that's why I backed you at an early stage, and I also did it for the votes, because you did come out and vote, I will say. And they changed tune, you know, Biden's team, they changed tune right in the middle of the campaign. All of a sudden, they loved you guys. They dropped all charges. They did, have I got you guys out of so much trouble? And you know what? I don't think anybody voted for them, right? Because you remember they treated you very unfairly, actually. So it's a great honor that we were involved. And it was a tremendous amount of support that we got at the polls. We won, think of it, we won every swing state. We won by millions of votes. We won the popular vote. We won the districts by 2,750. Think of that, to 505. Different districts too, by the way. Every once in a while that number can change, but it doesn't change by much. The map was almost totally red, and you guys were with us right from the beginning. Exactly 1 year ago this month, many of you were with me in Nashville, Tennessee. Do you remember that day, right? That was a big day in Nashville, Tennessee, when I became the first presidential candidate ever to address the Bitcoin conference. And at this time, and at that time, crypto builders and founders were under relentless assault by the Biden administration, which was trying to crush your industry and crush you as people and go after your families. And they were a vicious group of people. You know, people don't realize that they were vicious, incompetent, but vicious. Well, Joe was an incompetent guy, but he was always known as a vicious guy. I guess if you're going to be in that, you probably, if they're incompetent, is better, right? Because you don't want to have a vicious guy that's competent. If you did, I wouldn't be standing here today. Right? But I pledged that we would bring back American liberty and leadership and make the United States the crypto capital of the world, and that's what we've done. And under the Trump administration, this is only going further. You're going to do really well. I mean, I'm so proud of what you've done in the last couple of years, and very important. On day one, I remember I did this, and I said this, and I mentioned this name, and I got the greatest applause of the whole campaign. We fired Joe Biden's SEC chair, Gary Gensler. We fired him. But I remember I was making a speech, and it was just a line in the speech. And I said, and I will fire Gary Gensler. The place exploded. I said, I finished that one, and I said, what the hell did that guy do? There was a lot of hatred there, I'll tell you. And it turned out, as I got familiar with everything, it turned out you were absolutely right. In his place, I appointed a visionary chairman who wants America to build the future and not block the future. He's going to be unbelievable. He'll go down as one of the greats. And Paul Atkins, where are you, Paul Atkins? And you know, Paul, the crypto guys, they said, everybody said, not only crypto, every industry, they all wanted Paul for the position. And he's a tough cookie too. And they actually said, we don't care. We just think he's fair. All they wanted was fairness. And they have somebody that you're really a champion of the street, and you're a champion of the country. You're going to do a fantastic job. I saw you interviewed the other night. I watched it about 2 o'clock in the morning. There was a little thing called C-SPAN, which I don't know how many people were watching. Don't worry, you were in prime time too, but they happen to have a little rerun. I don't want to embarrass you, but a fantastic job, really. You are absolutely so perfect for the job. Congratulations, Paul. And Paul is here today among the commissioners, various commissioners, including Hester Pierce and Mark Ueda. Hester and Mark Ueda. Thank you, Hester. Thank you very much, and thank you, Mark, wherever you may be. Is Mark here?
Boarding pass, check. Bag, spray ground. Made to move, built to flex. From JFK to Tokyo, our backpacks carry streetwear heat. Limited runs only. Why blend in when you can shut it down? Go to sprayground.com to travel loud. Sprayground, not just bags, it's a whole vibe.
Oh, stand up, Mark. I didn't. Good. Thank you. Good job. Good. I'm glad I gave you a second crack you didn't hear because of the thunderous applause for Hester. But thank you. I heard tremendous things about both of you. Thank you very much. My first week in office, I also established the first ever presidential working group on digital assets, and we have an executive director. Where's Bo Hines? Bo Hines. Hi, Bo. And Bo was a great football player, right? Bo was a great football player, one of the better players in college football, so I know you from that also. See, who would think that I know that? I know a lot of things, Bo, but he was a champion player. Stopped the weaponization of government against crypto and Bitcoin, and we ended the lawless operation Choke Point 2.0. That was a bad operation. And I kept my promises to the community and granted a full presidential pardon to Ross Ulbricht. Ross Ulbricht. And you have no idea how important that name became. It was like a symbol, and his mother was unbelievable. His mother was an unbelievable woman, but it was so important to a certain group of people. And in the truly momentous act last March, I signed an executive order establishing the U.S. Strategic Bitcoin Reserve, as well as the United States Digital Asset Stockpile. And that's all signed up. And with today's signing, we're pushing even further into the exciting new frontier. Just as I promised last year, the Genius Act creates a clear and simple regulatory framework to establish and unleash the immense promise of dollar-backed stable coins. This could be perhaps the greatest revolution in financial technology since the birth of the internet itself. A lot of people are saying that. I don't know. What do you guys think? Yes? If you say yes, I'm saying yes. And I think it's great that you're involved, I will tell you. Many Americans are unaware that behind the scenes, the technical backbone of the financial system is decades out of date, many, many years out of date. You know that. Paul and others are straightening it out, but payments and money transfers are costly and take days or even weeks to clear. Under this bill, the entire ancient system will be eligible for a 21st century upgrade using the state-of-the-art crypto technology. Who would have thought we would have been saying that 2 years after I really met you for the first time? The Genius Act provides banks, businesses, and financial institutions a framework for issuing crypto assets backed one-for-one with real U.S. dollars, treasury bills, and other cash equivalents. It's really strengthening the dollar and giving the dollar great prominence. And, you know, you have this little group called BRICS. It's fading out fast. But BRICS is, they wanted to try and take over the dollar, the dominance of the dollar, and the standard of the dollar. And I said, anybody that's in the BRICS consortium of nations, we're going to tariff you 10%. And they had a meeting the following day, and almost nobody showed up. They said, leave me alone. We didn't want to, they didn't want to be tariffed to there or us. It's amazing. No, we're not going to let the dollar slide. If we have a smart president, you're never going to let the dollar slide. If you have a dummy, that could happen. Like the last one, he would, if you ever asked him about the dollar sliding, he would have no idea. But we can't let that ever happen again. Consumers, vendors, and people all over the world will then be able to use those stable coins for ultra low-cost transactions that are cleared and settled in a matter of seconds rather than weeks and months. And that's really an amazing thing. And with the privacy, flexibility, and decentralization of cash, this revolution has the potential to supercharge American economic growth and empower billions of people to save and transfer in U.S. dollars. It's really all backed by the dollars. It's really a great thing. And a lot of, you know, we had a lot of Democrat support. I have to tell you that. I was shocked. Anytime you get one Democrat, but we had a tremendous amount of Democrat support, which we appreciate, and which just shows you that you're doing the right thing. This will increase demand for U.S. Treasuries, lower interest rates, and secure the dollar's status as the world's reserve currency for generations to come. The reserve currency is so important. You know, if we lost that, that would be like losing a world war. We can never let anyone play games with us, and that's why when I heard about this group from BRICS, 6 countries basically, I hit them very, very hard. And if they ever really form in a meaningful way, it will end very quickly, I will tell you, for them. They won't be gone very long. I don't think they'll even do it. They're virtually afraid to meet. I also remain fully committed to my pledge never to allow the creation of a central bank digital currency in America. It won't happen. My first Thank you. And the other night, I will say, with some of the congressmen and women, they wanted that so badly. That was so important to them. You know, I was impressed that they knew what the hell it was, to be honest with you. Please, sir, please, the central bank digital currency, well, you have to make sure. Sir. And I'm saying, what do you know about that? It's amazing the knowledge that people have gained all of a sudden. We have a lot of problems with some of them. I said, we've already got it from the Fed, right, from Commerce, and from an executive order. You don't need it a fourth time. Sir, we have to get it. It's amazing. But they knew their subject, though, didn't they, huh? And we helped them out. My first week in office, I signed an executive order to ban the creation of a CBDC in the United States, and very soon I look forward to signing legislation that will codify and ban make it a permanent law, put it in permanence. I'm also committed to signing landmark crypto market structure legislation this year to grow the industry. We're going to be growing it even more than people ever thought. It's a really hot industry. And for a little while, 2 nights ago, we were a little concerned because we were a little short of about, like, I would say maybe we were about 9 short. 9 short at 3 in the morning. We were about 4 short at 3:30 in the morning, and we were in good shape at 4 o'clock in the morning, right? But the people, and few people have fought harder for the bill than we're signing than some of the people here today. You have been unbelievable. It's our White House AI and crypto czar, David Sachs, who's done such a great job. And he has a show now, become a showman, but a couple of years ago, right, it's probably 2 years ago now in San Francisco, and I did his show, and I heard he's a very smart guy, and we had a great show. You've kept it going a lot longer, and is that still your highest rated ever show? Oh, he knows what to say. He knows what, he had a rating that he had millions and millions of people. I said, what's going on? But we had a great show, and I said, you know, that guy's really smart. I said, if I get elected, I was running at that time, if I get elected, we're going to bring him into government in some ways. He's worth a fortune. He's made a lot of money. He's a very rich billionaire. But this is more important, isn't it? This is Me Too. You know, it's like, doesn't matter. This is much. I know Howard and I talk about it all the time. Howard can go back to his wonderful brokerage firm, hire 1 or 2 people, and it's not the same as. It's not the same as what you're doing, right? We're doing the biggest deals in the world. Actually, the deal we're doing now in tariffs is the biggest, when you add it up, the biggest deal ever made in history. It could be 1,000 IBMs. I mean, if you think of it, it's the biggest deal ever done. So it's hard to go back to a brokerage firm and, you know, make $79,000 commission on the sale of a stock, right? That's true. But I want to ask David. So David's been fantastic. He's done an incredible job. And I'd like to ask David to come up and say a few words. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. All right, thank you, President Trump. It's a great honor to be here, and it's true that I never expected to work in government at all, and then everything changed after President Trump came on my podcast, and I accepted this job as cryptozoologist because I thought it was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to work for a president who really wants to get things done for the American people, and if anything, that's been an understatement. The first 6 months of this administration have been more successful than any administration in American history. What's been done? It's just been incredible. President Trump has worked at tech speed. We're used to working fast in Silicon Valley, but even this is fast for us in Silicon Valley, the speed at which you move, President Trump. It's really incredible. And now today, you have another historic legislative achievement that is a monumental step to fulfilling your promise to making the United States the crypto capital of the world. This Genius Act will unlock American dominance in the crypto industry by creating clear rules of the road. It will update archaic payment rails with a revolutionary new payment system, and it will extend U.S. dollar dominance, like you said, globally, by creating a digital dollar that people all over the world can use. And for every digital dollar in a crypto wallet, there'll be a traditional dollar in a U.S. bank account, which will create trillions of dollars of demand for U.S. treasuries. So that is the power of this bill, is U.S. dollar dominance. This is a huge promise made and promise kept by President Trump. And there's just a few other people I'd like to thank. First, my family for being here. Thank you. And Bo Hines, who President Trump mentions, the director of our crypto council, he really did the heavy lifting here. So Bo, I just want to thank you again. And my chief of staff, Tracy Johnson, as well, who also does the heavy lifting. And Bill Hagerty and French Hill and all the congressmen and senators who have already been mentioned by President Trump, so I'll save the time, but it was really been an honor to work with all of you. This was really a team effort, but most of all, I want to thank President Trump for accomplishing what nobody thought was possible, and it's true that just earlier this week, the media was reporting that this bill was dead. This bill was dead, and then the media didn't know one thing, that we had a secret weapon. We have a deal maker in chief. And thanks to President Trump, he stepped in and saved this bill. And it's because of your vision, your leadership, your determination, your skill that we're all here today. So thank you very much, President Trump.
Is that Laura? Please come. Please come here. This is our superstar. She was the head of the Republican Party, and nobody complained about anything. We went on to great. This is Laura Trump, married to a young gentleman named Eric. They have beautiful 2 children, but she has been so good. She stepped into that position like it was nothing that we won, and she said, Dad, I'd like to go home right now to my beautiful husband and my son and daughter, Ed, but you did a fantastic job, and you worked with a great gentleman too. He's doing a fantastic job. But I just want to thank you. I just saw you standing back there. I wanted to bring her in. Thank you very much, Laura. Thank you. So under the Trump administration, I just got back from Saudi Arabia, and we went to Qatar. We went to a number of countries, and I will tell you the level of respect that this country has now is incredible. The UAE, I tell you what, we had a time there, but every leader said the same thing. They said 1 year ago, your country was dead. And they say it that way. It was like, I didn't know whether I was supposed to be happy or insulted, but the truth is we were in deep trouble. But they said 1 year ago, your country was dead, and today you have the hottest country anywhere in the world. And it's true. We're the hottest country in the world. We had a country, we were a laughing stock with the borders, people pouring in. Can you imagine last month, in the month of June actually, 0, now I don't even believe that, 0, because you have hundreds of thousands pouring in, and then all of a sudden it's 0, but they have it down as 0. And very liberal people take that particular toll. It's a liberal group, so they're not giving us any favors. It's 0 people coming through our border. Can you imagine that? From literally hundreds of thousands and millions pouring in from all over the world. They came from all over the world. They came from prisons, jails. They came from mental institutions, gang members. There were gangs. They came from all over the place, from every country. They came from the Congo in Africa, a lot from the Congo. They came from South America. A lot of came from Venezuela. They emptied their jails into our country. Can you imagine? They allowed that, emptied their jails into our country, and they let them walk right into our country like perfect. 11,888 committed murder. 50% committed more than one person. They murdered more than one person. 50% of 11,888. And we had murderers, and we're getting them out, and Tom Holman and Christie are doing a great job. That Tom Holman, I'll tell you, is he Central Casting or what? And he takes abuse, but they just keep fighting, and they're winning, and we're winning in the courts, and we're winning everywhere. But we've got the hottest country in the world, and you're a big part of it. So the golden age of America is upon us, and with today's signing, the future of crypto and the crypto industry, the U.S. dollar working together, because they really are hand in hand, is going to be stronger and bigger and better than ever before. And I just want to thank everybody, some tremendous people in this room. And maybe when I sign, I'll ask some of our great senators and congressmen to come on up. Some of the top crypto guys, please come on up, because you guys worked very hard on this. And we'll sign this, and we'll get on to the next battle, and we'll win. But we're winning all over the world right now. It's not even close. Not even close. And we're going to keep it going. Thank you, everybody, very much. Thank you. This is not an auto pen, by the way. Which is a big scandal. If that were a Republican, it would really be a big scandal. But it is one of the great scandals of our time. Thank you very much, everybody.
There you have it. The signing ceremony officially ends as President Trump has signed that crypto bill officially into law. Now, there is other crypto legislation that is currently headed over to the Senate, so we are going to keep an eye on all of that as it develops. But again, that signing ceremony and those comments here from President Donald Trump. Going to head to a quick break here at 3:27 on the East Coast.
USDA choice ribeye. What's about the fortune, huh?
Oh, right. The lowest prices of any national grocery store. It's an Aldi thing.
Oh joy, you're a baker and new mom and student. You're an Ander. National University supports the whole you, so you can focus on what matters most. National University, supporting the whole you.
Well, good morning. This is a beautiful day. Could not have asked for a more beautiful day than this. And maybe that means something, that brings us a little luck. But it's a great honor, and I'm delighted to welcome you to this very special place, the White House, to celebrate the annual National Day of Prayer. And we're doing it up big. This is the first time they've done it this way, and you deserve it. We all deserve the White House. The White House is special. We're bringing back religion in our country, and we're bringing it back quickly and strongly. Because for America to be a great nation, we must always be one nation under God, a phrase that they would like to get rid of, the radical left. But Ben, I don't think we're going to let them get rid of that, right? We're not letting them get rid of that. I want to thank a man of incredible faith who's with us, Speaker Mike Johnson, for being here. He's done an incredible job. Thank you, Mike, very much. We're working very hard on a great, big, beautiful bill, and we're trying to come up with a name. And I said, why don't we just go with the great, big, beautiful bill? That's what everyone, so we're going to probably do that because everyone knows what it means. But later today, I'll be going to the University of Alabama to deliver the keynote commencement address to a record crowd. They have a big crowd. I guess they have 7 ceremonies. And they said, well, if you're doing it, we're putting them all together. I said, that's a lot of people. So we're going to put them all together. It's the first time they've done that. And I'll give it a shot. All right? I hope we can entertain. I will give it a shot. But before we begin, I want to let you know what I was just doing in a really great meeting with Speaker Johnson. We had also Majority Leader Steve Scalise, Chairman Brett Guthrie, who's a fantastic guy, and Chairman Smith. Everybody knows Chairman Smith. He's the most knowledgeable person on taxes and finances there is. To be updated on the progress of the one big, beautiful bill. We love that bill. I won't like it if it doesn't pass, neither will you. If it doesn't pass, your taxes are going to go up 68%. So think of it. 68, and this is a religious ceremony to me, but that's part of the religion. Because if your taxes go up 68%, you might give up your religion. You might have no choice. You'll be working too hard to try and make it. And that's the Democrats. That's what they'll give you. They'll vote against it. It's not even believable. It's called Trump derangement syndrome, because honestly, everything in there is good for Democrats, Republicans, and everybody else. These will be the biggest tax cuts in American history, with 100% expensing, which is something that people cannot believe they're getting. We did it in the last one, and we had the most successful economy in my first 4 years that we've ever had in the history of our country. And expensing was one of the things that led to that. But it's 100% expensing for companies investing in America, and increasing take-home pay for the typical family by thousands of dollars a year. And to show you how middle income this is, there'll be no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax for the great seniors in Social Security. So you have no tax on Social Security for our great seniors. And we have full deduction for interest. If you buy a car that's made in America, you get an interest rate deduction. That's going to be it's got to be made in America. If it's not made in America, we really don't care if you buy it or not. If it's made in America, we want you to buy it. We make the best cars anyway. Things are moving along very well, and I just wanted to say the final details are coming together, and they're coming together rapidly, and I think we're right on schedule, Mike and everyone. And I want to thank you and this group and all of the people that are over there right now, not in the sun. They're working on the bill. This bill, it will be the biggest bill ever passed in the history of our Congress, our Senate and Congress. So that's a big achievement. One of the things that's very important will be saving Medicaid for Americans in need. We will not let the Democrats destroy it and all the waste, fraud, and abuse that they seem to love. And they will decimate Medicaid if they get the chance. We're not going to give them that chance. So just remember, we will be saving Medicaid and strengthening it. It will be actually very strengthened. And they are going to decimate it. We can't let it happen. And very simply, to finish that, we will make America rich and healthy again. Now, why don't we say rich, healthy, and religious again? Okay, shall I add that for this script? Right there, Patrick? Thanks as well to the great people that are here. Pete Hexeth, who's doing a fantastic job. Pete, thank you. Marco Rubio, unbelievable. Unbelievable, Marco. When I have a problem, I call up Marco, he gets it solved. He gets it solved. Scott Bessent, he's got a very easy job now. He's negotiating with about 200 countries. Can you handle it? Do you get to sleep at all? He's got phone calls coming in. I was with him before, in fact, 30 phone calls. I said, just see me later. They're all calling. Scott Turner, who's doing wonderful work. Recommendation of Ben. Ben, when Ben, recommends you, I have no choice, right? But you're doing great. You're doing great. Attorney General Pam Bondi, she's slightly busy. She's on the busy side with all of the, you have a big assortment of everything when you think of it. She's got every form of crime known to mankind and womankind too. You always have to say that as a politician. But she's doing incredible work. Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi, thank you. Good job. A man that I can't talk about because he goes undercover most of the time. His whole life is now undercover, but he's central casting when you get to see him. I tell you, he's a handsome guy. If I was casting a movie for the CIA, I'd put this guy in it. Director of the CIA, John Radcliffe. Where's John? John? See? He's undercover. He's here, but he's undercover. He's perfect. U.S. Trade Representative Jameson Greer, another busy one, huh? Jameson, good. And another one who's negotiating along with Scott and Jameson. He's negotiating all the time. He doesn't want to talk about it. He has no life. Howard Lutnick, Commerce. He has no life. And a very special person, a friend of mine for a long time, and she's doing an unbelievable job at small business, which is really big business. When you add up all that small business, it's probably the biggest bank in the world. But she is really capable and doing a fantastic job. We're working with Linda McMahon also on the student loans, getting them paid up. Administrator Kelly Loeffler. Kelly, thank you very much. And we're also joined by some special senators. Roger Marshall. Roger, you are a great guy. Whenever I have a problem, he's called, sir, don't worry about it. I say, thanks, Roger. It's easy for you to say, Roger. But he always is so good. He's a good man. James Lankford. James, I saw you on television. You were fantastic on television. James was defending me on television, something that's not easy to do, but he did a good job. Thank you, James. And Mark Wayne Mullen. Mark Wayne, where are you? Don't ever fight Mark Wayne. Yep, thank you, Mark Wayne. Don't ever fight him. He was a fighter. And Cindy Hyde-Smith is here. Cindy, hi, Cindy. Wow. And we have thanks, Cindy, you're doing great. I look at your numbers, you're very popular. You don't need me to go out and campaign with you this year, huh? Isn't that good? Representatives Mark Harris, Mary Miller, Gary Palmer, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Robert Adderhope, Jason Smith, Chris Smith, Tim Walberg, and Josh Brenkeen. Thank you all for being here. And we have some others, but I can't see them. I just cannot see them, so I'm going to get myself in trouble. They'll never vote for me again, Ben. That's the problem. If you don't mention, hi, Mary. But Mary will. Thank you also to Senior Advisor Pastor Paula White, who's been so incredible. She's been right from the beginning, Paula, right? And we had like a 94% poll number, and I think Paula got it more than I got it. She said, no, I'm telling you, he's a good person. Well, we don't like him. We don't like him. I'm telling you, he's done more for us than anybody. Oh, okay. And she got us up to about 94%. And my old friends, they couldn't believe that I got that kind of a number. You understand? But you have done a great job, and Jenny Korn has done an unbelievable job. Jenny? And they work right out of the White House. They've never done that. That's never been done before. No other president allowed that. I think, they say separation. They say separation between church and state, they told me. I said, all right, let's forget about that for one time. We said, really, the separation, I don't know, is that a good thing or a bad thing? I'm not sure. But whether there's separation or not, you guys are in the White House where you should be, and you're representing our country, and we're bringing religion back to our country, and it's a big deal. And I want to say hello, John, the most talented man standing here today. He's one of the most successful artists, and his song is one of the most favored by people of religion. That I can tell you, John, you've done a great job. I always say he's the husband of Paula White, but actually he's very successful. That's always tough to live with, right, John? But not really, because you have an incredible wife that you're proud of, right? Well, that's good. Oh, he just gave her a kiss. That's the first time they've kissed in years. No, I'm only kidding. Great job, actually. The person that's been with me maybe the longest, and she's been just an incredible person, never asked for anything, never wants favors, or, gee, could I use your helicopter to get here or there, is named Alveda King, and she's here someplace. Is that, hi Alveda, she was here before it was popular, before I had record numbers with the Black Boat. She was here long before I had record numbers, right? Alveda saw something, and yeah, she was here at the very, very beginning when we were polling on the low side with the black population. Now we're setting records with the black population. We got criminal justice reform done. We got the black colleges and universities, you know. I got that financed for. It's a very interesting story because for 2-3 years, I'd see these really great people, like 50 of them, or maybe a little more. They'd come up to Washington looking for money for historically black colleges and universities, and they'd come up, and the first time was okay. I helped them get it. I got it for them, and that was it. Then the next year they came up, and I said, why are you up here? We took care of you. And they said, no, they make us come up every year. I said, you got to be kidding. So we took care of them, Speaker. We got them long-term 10-year financing, more money than they were asking for. And I would say, I think I'm the most popular with those 50 people. They like me. They couldn't believe it because they were forced to come out. This for 40 years. Every year they'd come up. You know that band. They'd come up, and some of them became friends of mine because they come up looking for money all the time. And I said, we got to get you like some long-term money. And I said to them, the only bad thing is I'll probably never see you again. And largely, but I see a couple of them here, largely that happened. But I took care of them, but they never had to come up. So it was a big thing. Talked about last night actually on television. Today, as the American people turn to God in prayer, we continue a tradition older than our independence itself. Nearly 250 years ago, on June 12, 1775, the Continental Congress appointed a day of fasting and prayer so that Americans fighting for their liberty could seek the help of the Almighty. And when you look at that, June 12, 1775, so we have a very, very special day coming up. You know, we have a lot of them during this term. And interestingly, I had none of them had I not had a rigged election. Had the election not been rigged, I would have been out of here. I would have been gone, and the radical left would have said, we got rid of him finally. But no, now they have me for another 4 years. We talk about that. And in the other 4 years, you know, it's sort of said, I got the Olympics to come in, and I got the World Cup to come in. And I said, you know, the sad part is it's going to be in would be the third term. None of it came in during the, what would be the normal, you know, the more normal way of doing it, like counting the proper votes, et cetera, and just going on. I would have been president. But now, we end up with 4 years later, and we have the 250-year anniversary, and that will be June 12th, 250 years, and you have Flag Day, so there's something happening on Flag Day. It's my birthday. But so you have 250 years in this term. You have the Olympics in this term. We have the Olympics going to Los Angeles. And we have the World Cup. And I was very instrumental in all three of them. They said, would you do it? Because another president refused to call. They needed for the Olympics and the World Cup, they needed the support of the president. And that particular president refused to talk to them. He didn't want to talk to them. I don't know why exactly, but he didn't want to talk. So they said, could you talk? And so I talked, and I talked them into it. And we got those two, and we have 250 years. So this is going to be really 4 years of celebration, so get ready. And we're going to always bring God with us. We're going to bring God to those celebrations. We're not going to forget about God. In a letter to wife Abigail, John Adams wrote of his first National Day of Prayer, millions will be upon their knees at once before their great Creator, imploring his forgiveness and blessing and asking for his favor on the American cause. Beautiful. Today, more than 2.5 centuries later, in the heart of a free and proud America, we rejoice that God answered those prayers. And I think God answered other prayers because he's put in an administration to run this country that's going to make you proud again. It's going to make you believe and believe more again. And we're going to have a country that's very strong. We're already in just 100 days. We're respected all over the world. Every leader's calling, want to have a meeting, appointments. They weren't calling so much last few years. They had no respect for our country. Our country was doing very, very poorly, as you know. Millions and millions of people pouring into our borders from jails and mental institutions and gang members. It was a terrible situation. And yesterday, I don't know if Kristi Noem is here or Tom Holman, but yesterday we had the lowest, safest border in history, 99.999. In other words, 3 people got in, 3. And in the previous, it was hundreds of thousands of people were coming in. We had 3 people. And we have it locked down, but we are allowing people in, but they have to come in legally. So it's a big thing. So I think it's a very big thing. It's just so appropriate that here we are. So many things are happening, so many great things, and we won't let countries rip us off anymore. You know, a lot of people like to talk about tariffs. Well, tariffs is exactly what they were doing for us. You know, when you want to defend that, they're a beautiful thing for us if you can use them, if you can get away with using them. It's going to make us very rich. We'll be paying off debt. We'll be lowering your taxes very substantially because so much money will be taken in that we'll be able to lower your taxes even beyond the tax cut that you're going to be getting, hopefully, with the big, beautiful bill. And so it's one of those things. I think it's just a really amazing time. The spirit that we have in this country right now is greater than I've ever seen it before. And it started on November 5th when we won every swing state. We won the popular vote by millions. We won every district. Think of this, the districts, it was 2,750 versus 505. And we got 312 electoral votes. Everyone said, maybe he can get 270. We got 312. It was a great election, and it has just revitalized the country. And I think I can say one other thing that's, to me, really incredible. That can go so quickly. If you remember 6 months ago, prior to the election, we were unable to get people to join our military. We had a waiting list that was a mile long of empty spaces, and we couldn't get anybody to join. We didn't know actually what to do. Now, I wasn't in the administration, but they didn't know what to do. And it was embarrassing to them, frankly, and it should be. And that included police and firemen. You couldn't get people to join anything having to do with any of the military groups, any of the law enforcement groups, first responder groups. You couldn't get anybody to join. And as of yesterday, we had the largest number of recruits in the history of our country. Think of that. And the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, all of the Coast Guard, all of them, they're full. And we have a waiting list, and we're actually picking the ones we want. And we're trying to take care of everybody, but you're picking the ones you want, and it's been amazing. And to think just 6 months ago, you were hearing that people weren't signing up. And that includes now our police force. Our police forces were really starving for people. And this includes our police forces. They're all full up, and they're in great shape. It's amazing to turn. And mostly that spirit, you know, they have spirit. It's nothing else. They have spirit. They love our country again. And we're making our country great. We're making our country greater than ever before. I created a historic White House faith office in the West Wing, and that's going to be an office that's been very well. I see already you have a lot of people going back and forth, and that's good. That's what we want to defend and represent people of all faiths and their religious freedoms at home and abroad. But they're coming really, it's probably doubled the action in the White House. It's been amazing to watch and beautiful to watch. The White House can handle it. This important office will work to protect vulnerable women and children, strengthen the American family, promote the dignity of work and choice and education. And people that are in trouble can come in and they take care of them. Sometimes they'll send them to a doctor, sometimes Paula does this, and Jenny, others that are in the office. And they're doing an amazing job. And I wanted them to have that office. Never happened before. I don't think that's ever happened before, right? The people of faith have never been allowed in the White House. We'll probably be sued tomorrow because they're going to say church. Separation of church and state. Can't do that, right? But, well, when Pam will win that suit, she wins them. She ultimately, she wins them. She gets them. Sometimes they get a judge that's not so good, but she ultimately wins. That's what it's all about, right, Pam? I pardoned Americans of faith thrown in jail for praying in peaceful protest. We reinstated service members thrown out of the military over religious objections to Biden's vaccine mandate. We did a vaccine, but we didn't do a mandate. He did a mandate, threw them out if they didn't take it. Can't do that. I signed an executive order to combat anti-Semitism and set up a DOJ task force to eradicate the anti-Christian bias. We've taken away a lot of, you know what? Let's sit down, please. I didn't even know you were standing. What an honor that you stood so long. Wow. That's a great honor. Thank you. Because I know if I were up here, you would have been seated. You might have never stood up. No, that's a great honor. I didn't realize it. I signed an executive order to combat anti-Semitism. It's a big thing. A big thing. And I set up a DOJ task force, which is really a big thing, and Dan, you're going to be involved in it, to eradicate anti-Christian bias. You haven't heard that, but there's anti-Christian bias also. And in just a few moments, I'll also be signing an executive order creating a presidential commission on religious liberty, which is really why we're here, more than any other reason. Many of the new commissioners are here with us, including people that have been with me from the beginning. The chairman is Texas Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, whose idea this was. And stand up there. What a great guy. What a great political person. He's an amazing politician, Lieutenant Governor, and he's a man of great religion. Thank you very much, Dan. As well as Dr. Ben Carson. Ben, I don't have to say much about Ben. I don't have to say much. He's been with me from the beginning. You know, he was campaigning against me originally. Can I tell that story, Ben? You mind? Are you steering a little bit? Because he was campaigning, he was very effective, and he was going up in the polls. And he looked at me about 3 or 4 debates in, and he said, you know, you're going to win by a lot, don't you? This was during 2016. And I said, what do you mean, Ben? What do you mean? You're campaigning. Don't say that, Ben. You're campaigning. You have a shot. He was a little bit behind this, but pretty far enough. But he said, you know you're going to win. These people can't beat you. Nobody's going to be able to beat you. I said, why? He said, because God is with you. I said, that's nice. And he said it once again in the church. Remember that one? He pulled me up and he said, remember what I told you, God is with you. And we went on to win 3 times. We won the first time. We did great the second time. We won the second time. Everybody knows it. But we made it too big to rig the third time. Too big to rig. They tried. They tried. So I want to thank Ben, who's been with me right from the beginning. You're an amazing person, and you gave us a great recommendation in this young gentleman who's doing a fantastic job at HUD. Thank you very much. Really good. Also, we have Dr. Phil McGraw. Where's Dr. Phil? Oh, you are so big. Come here, come here. Come here. This guy. He came up, he wanted to do an interview, and I knew him as a very, I mean, everybody sort of knows him, right? But he said, you know, they don't really understand the real Trump. I want to do it, and he did the nicest interview, talked about things that nobody ever asked me. And a lot of people watched it. I was a little surprised. He's got his own network, and he's become seriously rich. He said, I'll put it on Merit. I said, what the hell is Merit? She said, that's my network. I said,